Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a twice-a-week sports podcast that happens every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how you doing this Sunday evening? Are you getting ready for the NFL draft this Thursday?
I'm ready. Well, I'm getting ready.
Getting pumped up, getting hyped. I understand.
Yeah.
Now we go live. We'll be going live during the NFL draft this Thursday, and a few housekeeping items as always. If you're new to the show, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We invite you to stick around a while.
Where you been? Where you been?
Where have you been? That's right. Where have you been? And we invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter if you enjoy this content. And again, always leaving that thumbs up or a like button always helps us know. I think it helps the algorithm, but it helps us know if you enjoy what we're doing. Grump, a lot has happened in the sports world since our last podcast on Thursday.
Has there been a lot of things that have happened?
I don't know why you're asking it like that, but yes. What?
Nothing. I'm just saying. You always say that.
That was corny as shit, Grump, but that's fine.
Okay.
I want to talk about the hot news of today. The Brooklyn Nets obviously are facing off in Game 4. They're down, right? They're down to Boston 3-0, facing elimination tonight for the Nets. And wouldn't you know it, after a little practice yesterday, Ben Simmons was reported to do. His back was feeling great. He was going to be able to play in Game 4 against the Celtics. But wouldn't you be shocked? He slept on it funny this evening, or he slept on it funny yesterday, and he woke up and his back was bothering him. He couldn't play. I can't play in Game 4.
I just want to say one thing about Ben Simmons. Do you ever hear players criticize guys on their own team ever, particularly in today's day and age?
No.
No. But think about the offseason, things that Joel Embiid said and other players.
And Doc Rivers, your coach.
Yeah, they never do that. And they were coming out and actively just ripping on him. And what do you think the Nets are thinking now? I mean, he was supposed to definitely be back for Game 3.
He was supposed to be back for Game 3. And then he had the 3-on-3, I think is what it was. And he was reported after he left the facilities yesterday to be in good shape, ready to go for Game 4. But something happened once he got done with that practice. Maybe he took a warm shower and slept on his back funny, and he hurt his back. He furthered the injury, Grump, because that's been the injury that has kept him from playing all season long. Apparently, it has kept him out for, I don't know, roughly about, would you say, 300 days, maybe 250 days, about a whole entire season, whole year.
A long time. Let me just put it to that way. A long time.
That's why he originally couldn't play when he was with the 76ers at the time period.
He didn't want to play. He didn't want to play for the 76ers. He didn't want to play for them. He didn't like it when people were critical of him not being able to hit any shots or free throws. I mean, and he's a talented kid, but people were questioning, why are you not working on your shot? And then
why not working on your jumper? Why are you not doing this? There were a lot of questions they had.
And then he shows some film of him working on his jump shot that was like 5 years old. So, I mean, does he want to be an NBA player? Does he want to be good? Those are questions only he can answer.
I don't even know about that. I mean, the thing that's the icing on the freaking cake about this is during the first week of April, he filed a grievance because technically he didn't play any minutes, not a single minute on the court in 2021 or 2022, it's regular season, and he still wanted to get paid despite not playing. And again, they were still questioning, okay, what's the severity of the actual injury? And now, right, he's filing a grievance. He wants to recoup over $20 million of the contract that he had. He wants to go ahead and get this completed. That's why he's filing the grievance. And I'm left scratching my head saying, like, the gall and and the audacity by you, as you haven't played it all in the season, and again, you haven't played it all in the postseason, and there's a lot of questions about the actual validity and severity of this back injury.
And wasn't he suspended by Philadelphia earlier in the year?
Yes, he was.
There you go.
Mm.
I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, you want to get paid when you won't practice with the team, you won't play with the team, and you still expect to get paid. Good luck.
It wasn't like, hey, it was an injury when we were on the court and I was out there. It was nothing of the sorts. But here's the funny thing is, Grump, I actually did happen to find a clip of Ben Simmons today. So I'll let you go ahead and watch this. And this was, I could not believe we were able to gather this footage. TMZ was on it in a heartbeat, though.
Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
And an elimination game too. Isn't that just funny, grumpy old man? It just happens to be right. He was the guy who he pass up opportunities for a slam dunk there and big moments. Anytime he had a chance to go ahead and really take the game by the horns, he'd always try to defer to somebody else. And does it shock you in an elimination game like this tonight that my back's bothering me, I can't play?
Doesn't want to play. Just doesn't want to play. A lot of guys, they make the money and it's like, I got my money. Let's see if I can chisel some more out of people by not playing. I don't know. Here's the thing. If he's legitimately hurt, what are you going to do? But I'm sorry. It just looks a little suspicious.
It looks suspicious. And here's the thing.
It's that big chain. Maybe it's the big chain around his neck is kind of throwing off his lower lumbar region.
Well, here's the thing that always blows me away. During the playoffs, you see players, plenty of players across the board, doesn't matter what sport, NBA, NHL, NFL, players play through injuries because they want to win the championship. Joel Embiid putting off thumb surgery until the end of the year because he's injured. You see NFL players playing out there, I tore my tricep. Eric Weddle tore his tricep or tore his pec in the Super Bowl. He muscled right the hell through that. This is when you're supposed to say, I know I'm a little banged up, but I'm going to do anything I can to help support the team and help work for this common goal. Reggie Miller, ex-NBAer, also says, come on, man, out for game 4 when it's rumored you were going to be making your debut. This dude has zero competitive fire. As small as a chance as the Nets did to have to come back this series, you still had KD and Kyrie. All you need to do is to win one game and take it from there. Hashtag man up.
Ouch.
Holy shit.
You never hear players or ex-players coming out and ripping other players, particularly in the NBA. They never do. I mean, damn. I just felt like saying, damn.
Damn. Well, here's another funny clip, too, that I think is worth adding context because now Stephen A looks at this a little differently. He's talking about the CBA and the next CBA, and he's saying that they're going to have something called the Ben Simmons rule. And I think it's just funny, right? Because you have a guy who is injured, questionably injured at that. One thing with back injuries, right? Really tough to track the progress of a back injury. If a guy says, his back's, I can't bend too far, or I can't do this movement because my back's hurting me. Really tough to tell if they're being honest and genuine or not. You just have to trust what they say. With a knee, okay, you could tell what's the mobility when you can manipulate it. You could tell with a hamstring. There's certain items you could tell a little bit more on. With a back, right? If they're saying their back's hurting, you just kind of have to trust what they say. But Stephen A brings up a good point here. And again, this is a guy who is currently in the process. He had filed a grievance not even a month ago, wanting to recoup a little over $20 million of his contract, as he had not played at all this season or in the playoffs.
Jalen's different than me. I feel bad for anybody who was his teammate. He quit on LSU. He quit on the Philadelphia 76ers, and now he ain't showing up for the Brooklyn Nets. We can point to all the excuses, all the rationale behind it that we want to. I do recall, despite him not playing, he still filed a grievance to collect $20 million that he has not earned. This is one of the most pathetic situations that I've ever seen in my life. He ain't going to war. He ain't going in the octagon. He's not going in a boxing ring. It's pulling teeth to get this man to play basketball. It's pathetic. It's sad. And at the end of the day, when the NBA gets in the collective bargaining table and they go after the players in terms of a pay-for-play stipulation in the collective bargaining agreement, it's going to be called the Ben Simmons rule.
What do you think of that, Crumpy?
Little hyperbolic from Stephen A. Smith, as you would expect. The whole thing is it's awful tough to tell if a player is faking an injury. That said, when you're suspended from a team, sorry, you're not getting paid for that because conduct detrimental. Now, Stephen A. Smith was correct. He quit on LSU, quit on the 76ers, and now he's quitting on the Nets. I mean,
this is a guy, right? You have to figure I wouldn't touch him with the 10-foot pole. Right, there's already questions on, he does certain things well, but not a complete player, struggles on the offensive side of the board, no doubt about it. And now, right, you look at it and you say, okay, it's a trend. It's not like it's just the one outlier. Oh, he quit on the Houston Rockets. Oh, he quit on. Think about how James Harden is branded. James Harden was unhappy with places he went. Ben Simmons just flat out freaking didn't show up, just not freaking going to bat. Playing basketball. And Stephen A's right. Playing basketball. It's not like he's out there boxing, playing football. Basketball.
Biggest issue. I just have a question. When his contract expires, I think someone will roll the dice on it, but it'll be for vet minimum.
It's gonna be for pennies.
Or
maybe what his value is. He's not going to get overpaid. Some players get overpaid. He won't be one of those.
No. Or does he come out and bust his butt the last year of his contract to try to earn another big one? Because to me, I think he's done more harm to his reputation around the league than he even realizes.
I tell you, it's something else. I'm kind of confused by it, right? I really didn't think it would get to this point. I really thought that, hey, he would show up. This is a new team, a new chance. You know what I mean? This is the last year of that contract, I believe.
He was very
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is not last year. He still has 3 years left on this contract.
He was very critical of the 76ers organization.
Yep.
Everyone was like, oh, yeah, well, Ben Simmons knows what he's talking about. They don't have his back. Doc Rivers doesn't have his back. Who doesn't have the 76ers back now?
Well, I think that's right, Grump, right? We looked at it and said, okay, I'm willing to play devil's advocate. I'm willing to defend the player. Perhaps Ben Simmons is the guy being hard done by here. Now I can look at it and say, no, the 76ers handled that as best they could. And man, oh man, I wouldn't touch, if I'm a coach, if I'm a general manager, I wouldn't touch a guy like that with a 10-foot freaking pole.
I mean, do you want to trade a guy who's 22 or 23 years old for a guy who's 30 something and makes a ridiculous amount of money? The answer is no. They had to, because he was a toxic asset. They traded toxic assets, right? Because Harden didn't want to play for the Nets.
Yep.
I mean, and Ben Simmons, well, he doesn't want to play for anybody. So is what it is.
And you wonder about that too, right? Throws himself a little fit. What type of mental toughness does he have?
None.
Okay, what do you think? Do you think in the offseason people are just going to forget about this? Right? That was the issue originally. Oh, didn't like getting ganged up on. Didn't like any criticism. Do you think the criticism's going to go away? Do you think that's going to just dissipate into nothingness? Probably not, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think the biggest thing is you're seeing current and former NBA players coming out and just really attacking his manhood. I mean, man, oh man. I mean, you never see stuff like that. That never happens. What is his rep around the league? When was the last time you heard a player ripping another player for being a dog? I mean, it never happens.
Yeah. So that's obviously number one top story as of right now. The Wicker Man says, how does a Grumpy actually get ready for the draft? What team do you both like?
For me, I oil up the chair so I'm able to rock back and forth leisurely for a number of hours in a row. I make sure that I got my drinks prepped, got the motor neurons firing upstairs, knowing what the teams are going to pick, who they're going to pick, what direction they're going in, what they need, who's done a good job, who's done a bad job. It's a thinking man's game. So I'm right at the top there. Thank you.
Now let me ask you, do you use WD-40, the Cadillac of lubricant for those type of hinges, Grumpy, or use some sort of swill, some sort of second rate for your couch?
Actually, grease is the best if you want to stop things from creaking. Grease.
Fair enough. And now you said you got to get the motor neurons firing upstairs.
Yeah.
What does that usually entail? I see that they have commercials for Prevagen or Prevagen. It's like this. I think it's meant for older individuals, kind of like yourself, Grumpy. It's made out of like jellyfish, and it helps their memory and it helps their motor neurons. Is that what you take?
No, what I do is, I just do a lot of mental gymnastics, keeping the brain limber, and I try to say, "What would TJ say?" And I usually do the exact opposite, and I'm always right then.
Oh, there it is. There it is. James F saying, "Hey guys, what's up, James?" And he says, another loss for the Islanders, one step closer to a higher draft lottery pick. Right now, the Columbus Blue Jackets are only 1 point behind us. So hey, hopefully we can go ahead and drop these last 3 games of the season. We'll finish up the year losing our last 8, and that would make me a happy man. Apex Legends here says, "What Lou is what." What Lou is about to do is overpay Pulak, or the overpay for Pulak will hurt. He sucks.
Yeah, he's been bad all year.
And what a film saying, "Howdy, cool cats. What's up? How are you? I'll be listening, but busy with my hands, so no messages. What I really need, Grump, is a baseball team to cheer for. They've got to be cool though, Grumpy."
Oh, well, we're going to give you some. We'll have to do some thinking on that. That's for certain.
We'll talk some baseball today, too, because it's definitely up there. And he says, Atu Ratu, 2 games played, -2 in Bridgeport. Bust. Just kidding. Drew L saying, "I don't know if I'll be able to watch the stream. Hopefully, by the time the Florida Panther game ends, I'll be in the car, and so I can cue it up there. The atmosphere there is nuts. I've never seen anything like that in an NHL arena before."
I'll tell you what, the Panthers and the Lightning are going at it today. It's 5-3 Tampa Bay in the second period. I'm going to tell you what, watch out for Tampa Bay. Watch out for Tampa Bay. They're like, oh, hey, it's playoff time, fellas. Let's get moving.
Yep. Anthony Price saying here, "Ben showed us how to get your way without playing basketball."
Well, he's going to have to get paid.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. That it's short-sighted, too, when Ben does something like that, because he's going to have to pay the piper, and these people, even if they have that lingering thought that, maybe this guy might flake on us like he did for the 76ers. Maybe he might flake on us like he did for the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be really, really, really tough to get your reputation back to where he probably would like his reputation to be. Maybe he doesn't care about his reputation around the league, but that'd be something that would bother me.
He'll be on a 1-year prove-it deal. When he's got 3 more years left. It's like, what do you do with a guy like that? And think about it. How much money do these NBA guys make?
His contract, he's making a little over 30. I think it's like 30+ million a year.
Is he not still on his rookie deal?
No, his rookie deal. Last year was the first year it wasn't on his rookie deal, and this year he was on a rookie deal.
Is that and I'm looking at Anthony's picture. That almost looks like Washington Football Club.
Yeah, the Washington Commanders now.
Oh, is that what they're called now? Yeah.
Yeah. So, he had signed a 5-year extension with the 76ers originally after the rookie deal. Salary was $30 million for last year, $33 million this year, $35 next year, $38 essentially, about $38 in 2023, 2024, and then a little over $40 million in 2024, 2025. I mean, Jesus Christ. Good luck.
And Brooklyn's on the hook for that now, right?
Good luck. Alexander saying, "What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Doing well, Alexander. Hope you are too. I missed you guys last night. I wasn't feeling well. Did you guys get to see what Barzal said?" Yes, we did. We talked about that in depth, Alexander. Oof. And how about the Mets, guys? This is a totally different New York Mets team.
But here's the thing, Alexander. We talked about that on Thursday also. Yeah. I'm not chastising you. I'm really not. But we think the addition of Max Scherzer, Buck Showalter, Eduardo Escobar, Sterling Marte, all solid clubhouse guys.
Yes.
No more of, Rojas's manager or whoever they're going to put in. They got an experienced old-time manager in Buck Showalter. I see good things for the Mets this year. I really do.
I do too. And here's the other item. Think about the Mets where they don't have right now Taijuan Walker healthy. They don't have Jacob deGrom healthy. And when you look at it, on a deep scale, they were reliant year after year upon Noah Syndergaard. I know he'd been injured year after year after year, but the thought was, okay, once he comes back from this PCL, once he comes back from this injury, once he comes back from the UCL, he'll be good to go. And he just never did. Right. And again, like the health was always a question. When he did, he was kind of shaky at best, and he's just been consistently injured and banged up. So we put our eggs in the basket of, oh, Noah Syndergaard will be here. Just wasn't the case. And when you add a guy like Max Scherzer is a true professional's professional. I think you said, Grumpy, he's one of the representatives for the MLBPA. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep. He was. I don't know. I think he said after he was so disappointed in the deal that they signed that he said he was resigning from that position. But he's known as a leader around the league.
Very highly regarded.
Yes.
Around, the players' opinions of him are very high. So that's always good. You know what I mean? When you talk about that, that's always good to have a guy like that
and here's
in your house and dress in your room.
Let's say DeGrom and Walker come back. Walker's going to the bullpen. You have Scherzer, DeGrom, Bassett, Carrasco, and McGill as their starters.
Well, I don't think McGill's going to stick around as a star. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Taijuan Walker is a good pitcher now. Come on. Don't sleep on Taijuan.
I'm not saying he's not a good pitcher, but they're not going to have 6 or 7 starters on their team.
Yeah, probably not.
Whoever's not starting lengthens their bullpen. That's the big thing. They lengthen their bullpen.
He said, I saw you guys talk about, but I love talking about it. And Tyler McGill and Peterson have looked good. McGill had another strong outing today. The young guys always go to bat, or always go to Batiste Bassett after. Sorry, Grump, you're gonna have to forgive me. And McGill looked really good. Here's the thing. I like Taijuan Walker. I've always thought, again, I was a fan of him. He used to be with the Seattle Mariners farm system, right? No, was he with the Seattle Mariners?
Arizona.
The Wicker Man said the Mets need a reliable closer.
Diaz is
Noah might have been a big mouth, just like Stroman was.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction. And I talked about this before the season started. I loved what the Mets did. I just loved the character guys they brought in. Really underrated signings. I mean, Marte. I'm a big fan of Marte. I really am. A real solid locker room guy, and Escobar. I thought that was a phenomenal sign.
Taijuan Walker was drafted by the Seattle Mariners and was a Seattle Mariners farm system. But I can't believe, I was like, man, oh man, am I going nuts? Because there's so many pitchers. It's always, I forget. Taijuan Walker now is in his 30s.
Yeah.
He's 29. He's going to be 30 years old in a few months.
Yeah, but who did he play most of his pro career with? It was Arizona. That's where he came from.
The Seattle Mariners. No, he played 4 years with the Seattle, or actually 5 years. He played back for him in 2020 for a little stint too. He played his first 4 years with the Seattle Mariners. He's bounced around pretty much everywhere. He played 3 years in Arizona, played 1 year for the Blue Jays, back for, he played a little bit between the Blue Jays and the Mariners, and he's played on his second year with the Mets. I don't know. He's been a guy that's kind of bounced all over the place, but I think to myself, he was always a prospect that was highly regarded, and he's always bounced all over the place too. I mean, he's put together, a solid, MLB career, but I'd like to see what it is, right? If you're 29 years old, you're starting to enter the prime of your career as a pitcher. Big guy, too.
Like I said, Scherzer, DeGrom, Bassett, Carrasco. That's a strong top 4 of your rotation. Really strong.
The bats look like they're showing up for the most part, too, which is always nice to see. Eduardo Escobar has played really well this year, no doubt.
More addition by subtraction, right?
Yeah.
Just
Javier Baez gone.
Yep. Remember him?
Yeah. I remember they made the trade for him at the deadline. And I was like, when I originally, I was like, holy shit, the Mets are serious.
Yep.
Well,
he hated the fans. You remember that?
I do remember that. Him and Lindor both.
But now you see Lindor, maybe, Baez was not a good guy to be running with, if you know what I mean. And I'm not ripping Javi Baez. I'm not. But, maybe Lindor around some more true professionals, he's kind of on the straight now. And he's played really well so far this year. But to me, the biggest move, of course, is getting an adult in the room at the manager position. I just think that's the biggest change. Buck Showalter's a no-nonsense guy. He really is.
And then we've got here, what a film's saying here, I need an NBA team to cheer for, too. Do the Raptors have a chance?
I don't think so. Not this year.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, watch out for Boston out of the East.
They're playing good basketball right now.
But I'm just saying, you got Philadelphia, who's really good.
Yep.
But Embiid with a torn thumb ligament, he's not as good as he could possibly be. It's going to be pain management. It's going to be a lot of things. You get hit on the hand a lot. It's going to cause pain. And, it has to affect them some way or another. Milwaukee is missing Middleton. Chris Middleton is going to be out probably for the rest of the playoffs. So they have, they got Giannis, but nobody else. So it just opens a door for the Celtics. And Tatum and Brown and Smart have been playing really, really well. They should be getting Reggie Williams back, I think, tonight, actually. He's a big part of their defensive structure. I like the direction of the Celtics in the East. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then Alexander's saying, yep, I read an article said Buck was the best offseason move that they've made as well.
Yeah, put an adult in charge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The Wicker Man, I looked it back up. He was drafted by the Mariners. And he says the Mets have the pitching, but they can't close out games. If they can't close out games, it doesn't matter.
Well, Diaz has been pitching well. They've only had them. I think they're 12-4. So
yeah.
It's tough to say, well, they don't have the pitching. But here's, like I said, once again,
easy, real quick. I think it's easy at the deadline to acquire a few more arms for the bullpen. I think that's, something that's very attainable.
Right. And think about, again, McGill, Peterson, Walker, come playoff time, those guys roll in the bullpen. It's about Diaz being the closer. But I mean, right now you'd say that their middle relief is not the best in the league. But when they get fully healthy pitching wise, then what happens? Then those guys who are at the bottom end of the rotation and doing a good job drop into a different role.
Yeah, and Joseph C's kind of agreeing. Yep, you can always slide one of those starting pitching because you have a plenty of them. You could slide one of them in the bullpen in the playoffs, but expect the Mets to be aggressive at the the trade deadline for bullpen pieces and a bat if they're in need.
What does it say about Stephen Cohen? I guess he's not ascribing to the theory that the Mets are a small market team.
Yeah, well, that's good. You can play
absolutely. I always found it hilarious when the newspapers and the Mets themselves try to push themselves as a small market team. Dude, you play in New York, 8 miles from Yankee Stadium. You're not a small market team, please.
Someone just absolutely rocked Sergachev in a fight, blood on the ice and everything. Ooh, look at that.
I tell you what, those two teams do not like one another.
I'm telling you, they saw each other last year in the playoffs, and I have a feeling they might see each other again, depending how things unfold. Drew L says, I'm sorry. Alexander says here, guys, the Yankees fan base are the biggest piece of garbage fan base out there. And I assume what he's talking about is the Yankee fans throwing a beer and water bottles out there against the Cleveland Guardians as Gleyber Torres, I believe it was, who hit the was Gleyber Torres? He hit the
a walk-off single, whatever.
The walk-off hit. And again, it gave the Yankees the win there in the 9th. Now, Grumpy, did you happen to see what had all transpired throughout that?
I saw that they were going at it. Guys were trying to climb into the stands when Stephen Kwan got injured. Actually,
he was trying to make a catch, and he ran in, hit himself. He hit his face on the
outfield fence.
The outfield fence. And then what happened? Now, this was in left field, might I add. So he does this, and they're looking over here. He's getting checked out by the medical team, and some Yankee fans are giving him a hard time. I have no idea what they're saying. Long story short, nobody does. The Cleveland Guardian players were not taking kindly to what they were saying to the guy who was a little banged up, to Kwan. And just like fans would do, they're trolling them. They're throwing up little vagina signs at him and stuff like that. And they're just trying to goat. They're trying to goat the players and to stop paying attention to what they should be doing, which is focusing on the game. And they're trying to take away from it. And again, maybe they were saying mean things. I'm not saying that's out of the possibility. Maybe
I guarantee you they to a man said they were saying some really heinous shit. Okay, so I can just imagine.
I can only imagine what they were saying. Long story short. So that had, I think, amped the crowd up. And then Torres goes ahead and gets that hit. And again, it's the opposite field. the opposite side. So it wasn't like they went back to the same exact fans that these players had gotten an altercation with a little bit. And again, you're right. Stram had gone, he climbed up the fence and starts pointing and starts yelling at the guys. And, it's, yeah. If things get out of hand like that, it's never good. And you don't like to see, tensions escalate like that between the players and fans. Certainly not. And on the other side of the field, right, he gets that hit and they start raining down beer cans on the Cleveland Guardian outfielders.
All you need to know is how bad it was is Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton had to come out onto the field and go out into the outfield and tell the fans to knock it off. That's how bad it was.
Yes, it was bad. And again, I can show you that. It's here's the thing. It's worth painting the whole story with the context. You shouldn't be throwing beer cans ever on this on the ice. Simple as that, right?
Well,
we said the same exact thing when the Islanders did that.
Yeah, in this case, the field. So
okay. I mean, on any sort of playing or any sort of playing surface, field, ice doesn't matter. But I mean, Jesus, man, oh man.
I mean, how bad is it? How bad is it when the home team has to tell the fans to knock it off? It was getting unruly out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they should have, honestly, you know what they should have done? Yankees, you lose the game because you're fans.
Really? How do you control what your fans do?
They're throwing cans out there, even Stanton saying.
It was Mercado and Stramp, I believe it was, the two individuals that were kind of getting into it, the fans out there on the other side. But man, I'll tell you, it was not a good look.
This is not the first time. They went after Verdugo last year for Boston, if you remember.
Well, I think that was in Boston. Well, hold on. They didn't go after Verdugo. They hit the ball, and the Yankee fan threw the ball back because it was a home run. I think he threw the ball back, and it hit Verdugo in the back.
Yeah,
was that?
Hit Verdugo.
I don't think it was done. That was not done on purpose. The guy just literally threw the ball and accidentally hit him. And you remember when Aaron Boone flipped the shit on him and the guy got escorted out? He was like terrified. He's like, I don't think that was intentional. This one was a little different.
Yeah. You know what? Don't throw anything at the players. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? Do you have a brain? Maybe it's just the way society is nowadays.
Straw. And that was Miles Straw. He came out there afterward and said, classless and the worst fan base on the planet, the Yankee fans.
You know what? He ain't lying right now. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. Oof. I tell you. So.
And those guys, whoever was doing, because, they got the cameras to see everything. Those people will be gone.
It wasn't like it was one person, man. They were raining down those beer cans. It had to be about, what do you say, about 50, 60 beer cans / water bottles thrown at the players.
Maybe it was an alky.
No, it wasn't. No. Hey, man, he was doing a really shitty job if that was the case because he wasn't drinking. They were still, it's not like they were just like, hey, they're throwing up empty cans. Man, they still had beer in those things the way they were being thrown.
Okay.
Ugh,
I'm just saying, they don't sell any more beer after the 7th inning,
Yeah, well, that's why
they don't, right?
That's why you go to the 7th inning and you load up. Or they let you buy 2 beer cans, you buy 2 tall boys.
I just love the announcement. Last call for beer. So hey, let's go. Hey, let's buy ourselves another 4 or 5 cans of beer because it's the last chance to buy it.
Here's the thing too, and now this is what we're talking about when Straw originally kind of went up there. Now this is out here in left field, I believe, Grump. Yeah. And this is when he went up there.
So Straw had some beef with the fans.
Can you? There's the guy.
Everybody's yeah, I saw that.
There's the guy who's doing that sign. And again, like he's not saying anything. He's just throwing up that sign. But I guarantee you that they were not saying very nice things about it. But here's the thing. Fans shouldn't do that. Fans should never throw anything out on any sort of playing surface at any sort of player. I mean, come on, grow the hell up. And the same token, though, Jesus, as a player, ignore that shit. Ignore that shit.
Well, I think the thing that really bothered him was that the guy got hurt.
No, he was fine. You didn't have to get taken out of the game. They were checking him for concussion protocol. He did get a little banged up. I thought he didn't have to leave the game, did he?
No, he had to leave the game.
Oh, he did. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I thought he didn't. Okay, gotcha. I didn't. Maybe they went in concussion protocol. I wasn't sure. I apologize, Grump.
I mean, they just like I said. It's like, come on, people. Half of them are smiling. They love this. It's New York.
I was about to say, they're just trying to get, and that's what I was trying to say. These people here are trying to get a reaction out of the people out of the players. And I'm like, I said, that's kind of what New York is. It's not a good look. It's not what you should be doing. But every single one of them smiles on their face. It's not like there's any malicious intent amongst these individuals, and they're just trying to goat them into a reaction. You'll see this guy here in the gray hat tries to go ahead and fist pound Straw as he comes up there. And I have no idea who the hell it was who was talking major shit, but I know at least had to be one, if not more. And everybody else is just along for the ride. Like, holy crap, can you believe that Miles Straw is coming up here? I've went to one game in the last, 3 years, and the game I go to, we've got an outfielder for the Cleveland Guardians coming up here and, shit talking to people over here who are not saying nice things. And Straw said, he apologized, or I don't think he said he apologized for what he said to the fans, but he said some very stern and, not so nice things back to him. So, it was just going back and forth.
He shouldn't have, honestly, he should not have to apologize.
He shouldn't have to apologize either. I don't blame him for what he said because he's sticking up for a teammate. No problem at all with it. But I mean, like they're New York fans.
It's like Philadelphia fans.
I was about to say, I love New York fans, right? Because, we're the Islander fans, but in the same token, they're New York fans. They're like Philly fans are worse than New York fans. No, a little bit worse.
They're the worst.
I was about to say Philly fans are a little worse, I think. But,
Climbed up to have a word. Mercado said, okay, calm down.
See, that's where the officials, the umpires need to get out there and straighten that shit out. He's like, yeah, do you see what's going on over there? And they should say something.
I assume it has to be this guy. These two of the guys are the ones who are probably goating everything on. Everybody else has just got their phones out videotaping.
Like I said, I remember going to a Mets game. Oh my gosh, 1,000 years ago, Barry Bonds was still playing for the Pirates. And I think I've told this story before, but here's the thing. The fans were more creative where Steve Cook, spelled Cooke. His name was Steve Cook, though. He was a, relief pitcher at the time. And he would warm up with Barry Bonds every game. And they were going, Cookie, all game, Cookie, because all he did was warm up Barry Bonds. And then a guy says, Cookie, Barry's mom makes more money than you. And, here's the thing. Bonds just starts laughing his ass off. And so does Steve Cook. So they hear what's being said. But you just have to tune it out. You should not throw anything at the players, though.
Yes.
I remember John Rocker, who had a controversial career with Atlanta as a relief pitcher, said certain things about New York, and they were throwing batteries at him. I was like, I'm sorry. Maybe what he said you didn't want to hear or it was inappropriate, but you can hurt somebody with that.
I was about to say, you shouldn't. I couldn't be more clear. Don't throw anything at the players. Don't throw in any sport.
If they made the penalties, if they made the penalties severe, you throw some at the player, we hit you with a taser. I bet you no one's going to throw anything. You just got to make the penalty so severe that they're just not even going to consider it.
Oh, man.
As Steve Martin used to say, death penalty for parking violations. There you go.
Good gracious. Oh, man. Steve Martin, funny comedian. Anyway, yeah, Wickerman says every fan base has a few bad apples.
Yeah, there's a little. You don't earn. You know what? You earn a name of bleacher creatures. You earn that name. It's not given to you. You earn it.
And here's the other thing too. It's just like it wasn't like it was hit to the same area where the same fans that got into the confrontation with Mercado and Straw were, involved in this. It was on the other side of the field. And again, they're just like, they're talking shit to our fans. And they probably didn't even know what happened. They didn't even know. They just saw that, hey, Straw's up there pointing at us. But, man, do not throw beers. And as soon as the first person did it, he had one or two trickle in. Everybody's like, whatever, it's fine. Let's just start throwing beer cans at these. Let's just start throwing full beer cans at the players.
Yeah, just
can't do that.
Idiotic.
Joseph C. said Steve Nash is going to be a sacrificial lamb for that mediocre Nets team. I don't know why they hired a guy who had no previous coaching experience with egos like that in the locker room.
The reason why they hired him was because of his ability to handle previously guys who had egos in the sport. When he was with Utah or whoever he was with, he's been with a lot of different. He wasn't Utah, but he had shown a penchant to be able to handle certain types of players and get them to fly on the straight and narrow. Steve Nash is a damn Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the whole thing is, I guess the element in the Nets locker room, a lot of alphas and they're veterans. They don't want to be told what to do, period.
And I guess Chiefs and not enough Indians. Is that what you're saying, Grump?
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't even know if you call them Chiefs, honestly. Just too many, guys who just want to do it their own way. And it's tough. Yeah. They thought that maybe Steve Nash with his, he had the cachet of being a Hall of Fame player. Maybe it'd be enough to keep the egos in line, but it wasn't. I like to draw a comparison. Zinedine Zidane, when he coached Real Madrid, a team super loaded with talented but egos aplenty, but he was able to keep them in line. Just Steve Nash wasn't.
What a film saying, okay, it's Boston then. I used to love the Celtics back in the day. Haven't followed the NBA much, but I need a sport. The Islanders are barely worth watching at the moment.
Well, the good thing is it's 7 more days and you won't have to watch them again until October.
Tony Kessler said, I can't take TJ seriously with these Disney shirts on.
Okay, I'm going to say it's better than wearing the tank top.
What would you? I can wear the tank top. That's fine too.
Maybe
on draft night I'll wear the tank top. So when we make good picks, or when they really piss me off, I can take and freak out, Grumpy.
No, don't do that.
Amari Productions says here, Miles Straw has always seemed like a pretty chill guy. So they must have been saying something really bad.
He was really angry with what they were yelling at Stephen Kwan. Yeah. It was what they did to Kwan that really sent him off.
Oh yeah, Taiwan was a top prospect. He had the arm injuries, Tommy John surgery. He's been a solid, back end starting pitcher there.
Yeah, nothing special about him.
And then Jurel says they started Spencer Knight, and needless to say, the 21-year-old absolutely sucks and gave up 5 goals on 20 shots.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Spencer Knight's okay. I think I would love to have. We've already got our goalie issue solved, but Spencer Knight, you could tell, has got the ability and the talent.
They're right now. Tampa Bay's really clicking as well.
Yep. The Flumpy Scump says, listen, guys, you can't keep skipping over the Scump. I will come no matter what. So let's leave the skipping at the door. There you go, Flumpy Scump. Tony Queso says, I've been a part of many Yankee game as a Yankees fan. And yes, they're complete garbage. They still carry around the 90s entitlement.
True.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I remember my grandfather said, my grandfather said to my dad, when, you get to be a certain age, he's like, my dad told me the story. He's like, Pop, who should I cheer for? He's like, and my grandfather was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. And he said, root for the Yankees. It's less painful. So my dad was always a Yankees fan. When I grew up, I was a Yankees and a Mets fan. I never hated one team over the other. And it's just interesting that, the Yankees definitely have an air of superiority, particularly when it comes to Mets fans. I often say Yankees, Giants, Knicks, and Rangers. And then it's like Mets, Nets, Islanders, and what's the other sport?
What do you say? I honestly, Grump, you're going on. It's just like I'm not even. I'm like
Jets.
I said you just go on, Grumpy. I'd stop listening, to be honest.
The superiors and the not so superiors.
Gotcha. I've got, and thank you, Alexander. He sent us the fight between Sergachev and Bennett. So that's what I was looking at. I was making sure we had that. What if I'm saying here? I just gotta let you know. I quit drinking 3 months ago. Well, congrats there. What if that's what you're looking to do? Congratulations. And I'm starting to feel normal again. Good to hear. But I have been on a personal mission for a while. Things are really good. I missed a few podcasts. Well, I'm glad you're getting everything the way you want it to be. Woulda. That's all. That's what really matters.
Honestly, your health and well-being is more important than our podcast.
Yes,
it just absolutely.
Don't worry about missing.
We are 100% behind you. 100%.
Absolutely. The Yankees wanted to go after Miles Straw. The Yankees fans are worse than Mets fans, and Ranger fans are worse than Yankee fans. I think, or Islander fans. Tony Kessler said, "Did you guys ever see Bill Burr's Philly rant?" Yes, I have. It's a classic. It's a classic. I like Bill Burr. The Monday Morning Podcast. It's a good one.
He's a New Englander.
Yeah, he's a comedian, a funny comedian.
Yep.
And Jurel said they hired Nash because Kevin Durant and Kyrie said that they didn't need a coach, so they picked the best candidate. And those Disney shirts don't reek out alpha. that's in TJ's system.
Ooh.
Hey, thank you, Stephen Porter. I personally love the Disney shirts. Thank you, Stephen Porter. In a Disney tank top, TJ, take it to us. LOL. There we go. I do have one Disney shirt that's got a hole in one of the armpits, so maybe I'll have to transform it into a tank. Oh man, I'll tell
He
you.
sounds like a guy who should take Disney transportation.
There it is. And Grump would most certainly love a Disney tank top worn by TJ. Yes, a W for the comment there, Would have Films. W across the boards. James F saying here, guys, what time do you go on Thursday for the draft? And what will be the biggest surprise in the draft? We talked about guys who had really risen up the boards as of recent, guys who kind of fell or a little bit, at least preliminary draft stock wise. I tell you, I don't know what the biggest surprise is going to be. I know a lot of people like Sauce Gardner. He's been moving up the boards on everybody's boards. Oh, he's going to be, bona fide no matter what, top 5 pick. Oh, look at what he did. And people always say, look at what he did his last year in Cincinnati. And they'll say, well, he played Notre Dame. He played Alabama. He played teams like Houston. And look how fantastic he did. Yeah. Alabama just ran the ball down Cincinnati's throw it all game. They didn't have to worry really about passing the football all that much. And Notre Dame is not the same Notre Dame as many years, 20, 30 years ago. Just not the case.
Can I just chime in?
Yeah.
Are you going to answer the question, what will be the biggest surprise in the draft? You're going to answer either one of those questions?
I don't know what the biggest surprise in the draft is going to be. Couldn't tell you. Maybe it's going to be maybe it's going to be a draft day trade where the Jets or team's going to make a trade for Deebo Samuel.
Okay.
I know Kadarius Toney is rumored as to, the Giants are taking calls on Kadarius Toney. I think though, if Deebo Samuel gets traded, I think that's going to be the biggest wow factor.
Look at the teams who are interested in him though. The Lions, the Jets, and the Packers.
I would go to the Packers if I was.
Yeah, I'd go to the Packers too, but the Lions and the Jets and the Packers. Maybe he's just stay in San Francisco right now.
Yeah, I tell you, he doesn't want to go there. So I've got a clip of him at the nightclub last night that Alexander sent me that doesn't look like he wants to stay in San Francisco. It's all.
And James, also, since TJ still won't answer the questions, the draft we're going to do the draft on Thursday, around about 8:00. But it will not be 8:00 TJ damn time. I'm going to tell you that much. If anything, it'll be a little bit before 8.
I was about to say I want to rather do it a little early if we can. Jump on early to talk a little bit about it. So we're probably
no problem there.
I'm thinking I'm shooting for 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
That's too early. 15 minutes before, because the first pick's not going to go until 8:15 anyway.
Okay. So we'll shoot for 7 or 8 or 7:45 Eastern Standard Time, Grump. Is that better?
Yeah, that works for me. And I think the biggest surprise that we're going to see is that one of the quarterbacks is going to be drafted way higher than they should. Probably maybe Malik Willis will be the first quarterback off the board.
Jesus. Nice.
And Kenyon Thibodeau will drop a little bit.
Yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, I think he's going to drop. Well, actually, you know what? I've got the biggest shock. The biggest shock to me would be if Evan Neal is not the first offensive lineman off the board. I'm so head over heels he's the best O lineman in this year's draft, and if he's not the first lineman off the board, I heard that he might even be the second guy off the board. Maybe they're going to look at Cross to be the second guy off the board, right? Akeem, the offensive tackle from NC State, might be the first. And again, he's been a huge riser as of late. It's been penciled in that Evan Neal was the best offensive lineman going into this year. As soon as the year had ended, man, that would be the offensive line mix up. And again, I'll have to create a little bit more in depth on the draft sheet. I would be shocked though if Evan Neal's not the first offensive lineman off the board.
I just want to say that I wonder if the Jets are going to draft another offensive tackle at number 4. I know they have Mekhi Becton. When we've been watching film of Mekhi Becton. Do you have any of that film, TJ, available?
Grumpy. No, I'm not showing that. You said have it for Thursday, Grump. I don't have it readily at my fingertips right now, Grump.
I just want people to know these are the type of things they have in store for Thursday night.
Well, I did happen to see, Grump, Luke Kuechly exited out of retirement recently. Him or Patrick Willis. So we've got a clip of them in action later on today in the show. Alexander says, guys, bought myself a Bossy jersey with the 9 and 22 patch.
Nice.
Absolutely. And Grump, what's that painting hanging on the wall above you?
It's like a seascape. Looks like rough waters ahead. So it should be named Islanders 2022 and beyond is what the name should be.
The Wicker Man says, who would you take at quarterback, position 1? Oh, the first quarterback, I take Pickett. I know that everybody likes the upside of a guy like Malik Willis. I don't know. He's got time, unbelievable amounts of time in the pocket, playing for Liberty. And then Dan Orlovsky went over there and said, oh, yeah, you can't read through a progression. Look at this. And they'll bring up one specific instance. I'm sorry. Willis is not – it's a boomer bust pick for the quarterbacks. I think Pickett's a better QB.
I'm just not sold on any of the quarterbacks, to be honest with you.
I don't think any of them are anywhere close to as good and as strong as the draft class was last year or even 2 years ago. 2 years ago, right? You still had Joe Burrow. You still had guys like Herbert, right? Really high top-end talent for the quarterback class. This year doesn't have any of that, in my opinion.
I think Kenny Pickett has the highest floor, but maybe the lowest ceiling. I always like Matt Corral. I like what I've seen of Matt Corral. But that doesn't mean he's going to be a great pro. I just like watching him play.
If not, that's cool too. Just putting it out there. Hold on. What are you just putting out there? I'm confused. I don't know what that means, Tony Queso. Drew L says here, Spencer Knight has about like 2 years to impress me before I'd call him a bust. Oh, wow. He's really young. Most goalies at 20 years old are either in EA or juniors or overseas somewhere else. He played really well. Look at his numbers last year. His numbers last year were good. He's a really young goalie. I mean, some goalies, think about it. Sorokin didn't even make it to the NHL until he was 24, 25 years old.
Well,
he was in the KHL. I know it was a little different, but it's not like goalies step in and they play the same way as Sorokin does. You know what I mean? If he's a highly touted guy. James also says a Raiders interested in Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, Dominic Hasek didn't become a starter until I think he was 26.
Guys, on Thursday, you can see Mekhi Becton beat some guy out for ice cream at McDonald's. Oh, man, I tell you. And Joseph C. saying, I'm surprised the 49ers don't want to pay Deebo, but his shelf life is short with the way he's used, so they're not going to pay him. I understand I understand him looking elsewhere.
No other team is going to pay him more than his rookie contract until that's up. That's just not happening. That's the one advantage that the NFL has, the owners have, is for the first 4 years, they have cost certainty over those players. After that, you hit unrestricted free agency, and it is what it is. But there's no way they're going to say, okay, we're going to rip up the last 2 years of your deal and give you some mega deal. That will not happen. He's been dinged up the last 2 years too. It's true. They use him as a running back and a wide receiver, but if you can't stay on the field, you're not going to get big money. The best ability is availability.
And you got to hear comment. Alexander saying, listen to you guys is like a breath of fresh air. Better than people's takes on Baker is better than Tua. I can't believe people are still on that. I think they're both similar. I don't think very highly of Baker. I don't think very highly of Tua.
The Browns are motivated to move Baker Mayfield.
Goodbye.
You can't blame him.
I've said it since last year. You guys are freaking waste.
They're not going to get a first-round pick for him.
Hell no. They'll be lucky to get a second or a third.
I think they can get a second for him. I think they can get a second. They're not going to get a first for him, though. Just not going to happen. They're not dealing from a position of strength. Teams know they have to move him. You're not going to carry a backup making, $18, $19 million who's never going to see the field. It's not going to happen.
James F. saying here, Grumpy, Garrett Cole came through today. Finally got a win, but I'm still questioning on him.
I mean, he's a bulldog. I mean, yeah, he's had a little bit of rough start, but I wouldn't throw him in the trash. I mean, I wouldn't worry about him.
Zach G. What's up, Zach? How are you? Long time. He says 76ers or the Raptors.
I just hate the Raptors uniforms, don't you?
I'm thinking the 76ers are winning that series. Is this a question of who wins the series?
Oh, I thought maybe who to root for.
Oh,
I would pick the 76ers to win that series.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What a film saying here. It's been a hard time being a Cowboys fan after they didn't play Romo when he was healed up. But I kind of liked him last year. Can Prescott win a Super Bowl with Dallas?
I think they have the wrong coach in place.
Wrong, Jerry Jones.
And the
needs to
GM
take
is
his freaking hands off the team.
And the GM is not the best in the world, Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
But Dak Prescott, I like him.
Yep.
But I don't know if he's got that clutch gene.
Mm.
Don't know.
Oh, man, I'll tell you. Guys, face it. Debo wants Miami.
Miami's not trading for Debo Samuel.
Oh, yeah. Zach G said here, this might sound biased, but I think the Eagles will get Debo Samuel, or at least have a good chance, because the Eagles and the Saints, had a huge trade, giving the Eagles 2 first-round picks. They could package that up, perhaps.
The Eagles are in position to make that deal, but the biggest problem with the Eagles is they don't have a quarterback. Got to get a quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not the answer there. He's good running the ball. He's a great athlete, good running the ball. He's not a great passer of the ball. It just isn't.
No, he's not. And do you think that Vegas will make the playoffs, the Vegas Golden Knights?
No, I do not. Everybody else keeps winning ahead of them. I think they're 4 points out of the final playoff spot right now. I think they're 5 or 6 points back of the Kings of all teams for third place in the Pacific Division.
They're set right now. They have 2 games in hand over the Kings. They are 7 games behind the Kings, so they're not catching the Kings. The team that they can hope to catch are the Stars. That's the team they're closest to. The Stars are 4 points ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Vegas Golden Knights do have 1 game in hand over the Stars.
And they play one another this week.
Holy shit. You want to talk about the game. That happens on Tuesday. So they play the Sharks this evening. They play the Dallas Stars. That's a huge freaking game on Tuesday. They play the Blackhawks on Wednesday, and they play the St. Louis Blues on Friday.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule right now.
Oh man, I tell you, Dallas. I mean, the other team's got a game in hand, but Dallas plays the Vegas Golden Knights, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Anaheim Ducks. So I'm putting probably Dallas. Dallas is going to get that last spot. I'm not sure Vegas makes the playoffs this year.
I wonder if Jack Eichel is bringing a little Buffalo with him to Vegas.
Ah, good question. Good question. And the Wicker Man says Baker to Seattle. They take a chance on him.
I think the Panthers are the team that's really looking at him. He's not worth the first round pick, though. He's just not.
So what, you're gonna trade for a guy like Baker Mayfield, and they're gonna draft a guy like Malik Willis to let him learn under Baker Mayfield?
They wouldn't draft Malik Willis. They would have Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback.
Oh my God.
He's 26 years old?
Jesus Christ. It's like wow.
It didn't work with Sam Darnold, but if you're giving up a second round pick, who knows?
Wow. It's that would be a colossal blunder by the Panthers. Another freaking huge mistake. They did it. I mean, Sam Darnold's like, okay, it's worth the roll of the dice. He obviously doesn't have it. And I can tell you Baker doesn't have it either.
You realize Baker Mayfield's been a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They both are bad QBs.
Okay.
They're both not NFL quality quarterbacks. Simple as that. Alexander saying, if there is anyone that can get Debo, it's Chris Grier. He has manipulated the cap, and they still have There's still $20 million out of the cap space, and Chris Grier has done a great job.
I just don't see that happening. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you got Mike Gesicki, 2 new running. I mean, how many guys are going to play? I don't know. And it looks like a duplication of resources, actually, for the kind of style that they run. I don't know.
Well, I want to show this before I forget about it, because I will forget. Now, thank you, Alexander, for sending this. Now, this is the fight between Sergachev and Bennett, and I'll let you watch it. Oh, man, it's a bloodbath.
Nice. Now, Bennett's going to Sergachev. Bennett's going to go. Sergachev can fight here. Strong kid.
Uh-oh.
Very strong. That is very strong.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Experience in this situation.
Oh, he got the helmet off. That's worse.
Oh. Stand in there, though.
They're both throwing.
He's a strong kid. He's done well before in a few fights when people have challenged him, but not in that one. Great job by Sam Bennett.
He grew a little blood mustache.
See, certainly got this crowd going.
Oh.
Look at that. He's got himself a little blood mustache.
He's leaking. He's leaking. I'll tell you what, though. Give Sergachev some credit. He took a couple of. He broke his nose too.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks. Here's the thing: if I can see
It's
that
got a little witch nose, yeah.
yeah, that thing's broken. But here's the thing: to his credit, he fought. Tampa Bay's gonna be tough.
Dude,
Florida will not beat Tampa Bay. I'm gonna tell you right now.
really?
Nope.
So you think Tampa's going to win the East again?
I think Tampa's gonna win the whole thing.
Holy shit! Well, here's the early prediction from Grump.
I got a feeling.
I was going to wait until Sunday to start giving my predictions, but Grumpy's already got his prediction out of Tampa winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll wait. I just like how they know how to win, and their game has really picked up the last 3-4 games.
Joseph C. said, you know who I'm confident to call a bust as a young goalie? Carter Hart. Yes. Not all his fault because the Flyers are a horribly run organization. Carter Hart was a good goalie, but yeah, you're right. I think he's just been shelled too much. It's like the quarterback who gets sacked a million times every season. And you say, what could have been if he was not sitting back there antsy because he's just like he's at a shooting range and he's the target they're throwing up.
Sometimes it takes a change of organization and getting your feet wet underneath you. And I realize it's real difficult in the sporting atmosphere that we have today, not just in hockey. I remember Jim Plunkett came out of Stanford, Heisman Trophy winner, went to the New England Patriots, had a good rookie year. I think won Rookie of the Year, threw 19 touchdown passes, 16 interceptions, took a beating there. Got sent to San Francisco, who was really bad, took another pounding. Then he got released by San Francisco, and the Raiders picked him up, and he sat on the bench, I think, for 2 full years before he took over and wound up leading him to two Super Bowl championships. So, I mean, say what you will, but sometimes taking a step back, getting a little perspective can help a player. I think it's real difficult in today's sports environment, like I said, where you got to come in and produce right away. Philadelphia is like the graveyard for goalies, isn't it?
Ugh.
I mean, let's be honest. They're a terrible defensive team. I'm shocked that I picked them to make the playoffs this year. And I know when I take out the envelope at the end of the Islanders season, I guarantee you I'm going to have Philadelphia making the playoffs. They're doing it. Didn't happen.
So let me talk. We talked about this a little earlier. The Giants are seeking to trade, and this came from Dan. I think it was Dan Leonard. He said, "What, Grump?"
That's a P.
Leonard. Or Pat. Okay, I'm not sure who it was from.
Leonard.
Pat Leonard. Sorry, I couldn't remember who the heck it was from. But the Giants are trying to trade Kadarius Toney after just drafting him last year. Dave Gettleman obviously wanted Devontae Smith. He went, I think the Eagles had traded up to select Smith, and the Giants then proceeded to trade back in the first round, something Gettleman doesn't do all that often. And they reached on a guy in Kadarius Toney a little bit. And now, apparently, rumor has it, they're looking to trade him, and they're trying to get a first-round pick back in return. Do you think that's something the Giants could acquire back for him? Is their asking price too high, and is this a good move by the Giants, Grump?
What went wrong?
He's hurt.
Okay, I realize he was hurt, but is that the reason that you're looking to trade a guy after 1 year? I mean, how bad does it have to be that you're willing to give up on a guy that you picked, the top 15, and move him after a year? I mean, wide receivers are different. Maybe that's why they don't go so high, because they're all kind of flaky and they're a dime a dozen. But it's like, I'm just surprised. I was really surprised when I heard that news today. They
drafted him 20th overall. So that they traded back to the 20th pick. I think they traded with Chicago, who drafted Justin Fields at that time period. But I mean, like Kadarius Toney, I forget, right? He played the 39 games, right? It's 17-game NFL season, regular season, had 420 receiving yards. Again, a guy who is always banged up and injured. I thought when healthy, he looked really dangerous, but I could say the same exact thing about Sterling Shepard. When Sterling Shepard's healthy, he's a good wideout, but he could never stay healthy. And the Giants just seem to have a lot of wideouts that are like that, a lot of skilled players that are always banged up and can never stay healthy.
The biggest problem with the Giants' skilled players is that the quarterback sucks.
That doesn't help. Yeah.
I don't know. There has to be something that went on in the locker room
behind the scenes that we're not aware of.
Absolutely.
I mean, here's the thing. If you feel like he is a young up and comer, I mean, he showed signs when he's healthy, he plays well, and you're willing to give up on him after 1 year. It's like, do you remember when Trent Richardson was traded after that really good season with the was it with the Colts or was it the Browns?
Colts or Cleveland?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was with. I know he was traded. I think he was traded, or he was drafted by the Colts. Then he was traded to Cleveland after he had a really good season. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yep.
And sure enough, they knew something we didn't, because he he flamed out well after that year afterwards, or a year or 2 years after, he flamed out of the NFL.
Yeah. Like I said, last year they had Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard as a starting wide receivers. I don't know how much you expected from Kadarius Toney, but he showed glimpses that he can play, and then he got hurt. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're unhappy with the way he recovered from an injury. I don't know.
Yeah, he was the 3rd overall pick. My God, the Browns. Okay, he was drafted by the Browns. Man, this is going back to 2012. 2012. That's how long ago this was. He was drafted 3rd overall. Ugh, anytime you draft a running back, top 5 is always. Ugh, don't get me started on that. But he was drafted 3rd overall by the Browns, had 950 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, and he had 367 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. It was traded for a 1st-round pick from the Colts the year after his rookie year. I was just like, what the hell is going on there? And maybe we've got a similar issue or a similar situation where they see something about Kadarius Toney now that they have a little bit of a change of, who's in charge, and they say, this is not a guy we like long-term. He needs to go.
Again, that's why the interview segment is so important on these draft picks. They're investing so many millions of dollars in these young players. And, you kind of want to know, can they handle the money?
We're jumping a little early on that train, but I'm just saying it's very odd to have a guy that was a 1st-round pick last year that, when healthy, played well. Now, all of a sudden, you've given up on him, it seems like, overnight.
On a guy who's 20 years old or 21 years old, because it's not like he was a senior when he left school.
No, I think he was a junior.
Yeah. So he's young too. Just like, wow. That one caught me off guard. Really did.
It did too. When you told me about it before the show, I was like, well, hold on a second. What? Because I was deciphering, looking through what we wanted to put kind of on the list, and I was shocked by it. Now, I wanted to show you this. Now, Alexander and others, and I think you had talked about this too, Grumpy Old Man, had talked about originally the Dolphins wanted to trade for a guy like Tom Brady. Well, the Dolphins originally had planned on trading their 2nd-round pick to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for Tom Brady, and they wanted to give up a 1st-round pick originally this offseason too for Sean Payton. Obviously, they got Tyreek Hill, so that didn't happen. But think about what they had planned a little bit here for this offseason, and how, again, they were able to redirect, I guess, once the Brady and Sean Payton was kind of off the table.
I don't think Tampa Bay wanted to deal Brady. Understandably so. I think he tried a power play to get out of Tampa. They said no. Brady did restructure his contract, but they didn't add an extra year to the deal. So that tells me this will be Brady's last year in Tampa, without a doubt, and he'll go somewhere else. I don't think he's close to retirement.
You think he's going to play again? What is he, 45 years old now?
45.
You think he's going to be playing when he's 46 years old as a QB?
He might even play until he's 50 if he wants.
Freaking stop. That is absurd. I can't. I can't picture that. I cannot picture that. Physically.
Maybe 55.
Ow! Stop. He's going to be around Social Security age, Grump. Get the hell out of here. At 62, he'll be able to take early. Oh, stop. Come on.
He should collect Social Security at 62. He should. He's at the top of the scale. He should definitely do that.
Oh, man. I'm telling you. It's something else. Alexander also
nothing wrong with that.
I think Sean Payton goes to Dallas next year.
High probability of that.
James F. says Jerry Jones is the Al Davis of football.
Disagree. Yep. Al Davis was a freaking football genius.
Towards the end, Al Davis had completely lost it with the moves he was making. So I think Jerry Jones, right? He had when he was younger, he had made the right moves. He had put the right pieces in place, and he had won a few Super Bowls. Al Davis won a few Super Bowls way back in the day. And towards the tail end, Al Davis really lost it. Towards the tail end, I think Jerry Jones has really lost it a bit.
People forget how great a football mind Al Davis was. And it wasn't just, a few, he won a few Super Bowls. The Raiders were the perennial power in the AFL and then the AFC. Them, Pittsburgh, Miami. They were in the mix every single year. Every single year. All right, they didn't win any Super Bowls after whatever it was, 80, whatever. But he was a fantastic owner. Hired Art Shell as the first black head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just kind of gets thrown out. Well, he was an Al Davis guy. It doesn't matter. Color meant nothing to Al Davis. The AFL and Al Davis in particular always took chances on guys from historically black schools. Gene Upshaw, who was a NFLPA president, just really great guys. Didn't matter color, and I think that's kind of gets overlooked. He was an icon in the sport and a revolutionary, and he was the reason the AFL and the NFL merged. When he was signing quarterbacks, when the AFL was signing NFL quarterbacks to futures deals. And then they went and they merged and they told Al to back off. But he said, I won the war, but the politicians took over. That's exactly what he said. He had the lawsuit against the NFL that because they didn't want to let him move from Oakland to Los Angeles. Now teams move anytime they want. But back in the day, that was just not allowed. But now you can't stop it. It was all because of Al Davis. He was a true revolutionary in the NFL. And I hate the fact that people look at him now like he was a doddering old fool. Let me tell you something. He's one of the reasons why the NFL is where it is at today.
Towards the end, I think he did. That's how I think of him. Towards the end, I think of him a little bit of a doddering old fool. During his prime, when he was fantastic, right? I love the history he just gave. Towards the end, though, he had lost it a bit. There's nothing wrong with that.
I met him in a Carolina Oakland Raider game. Nothing, and the Panthers killed him that day. Jim Otto, a hero of mine, and they were just so nice and cordial even after that loss. And it was so nice to see, and you could tell he was pissed and unhappy with the franchise. I mean, it is what it is. In 2001, they felt that they should have won when Brady beat them in the Snow Bowl game. And then the next year they make it to the Super Bowl. And after Gruden got fired and they wound up getting beaten that game. And that's pretty much been the end of their franchise. But he did great things for the NFL. Just great things.
Alexander says the Vegas fan base are a bunch of losers. They've treated Robin Leonard like garbage. Wickerman also thinks Sean Payton will end up in Dallas next year as their coach.
Very possible.
James F says here, it's funny. Since Eichel has been there playing with Vegas, they've had the same exact record as the Sabres with players that they got from the Eichel trade.
Yeah.
Joseph C said, rule of thumb, never draft a USC quarterback with a first-round pick. The only decent one has been Carson Palmer. Now, here's the thing. I have come to more of a belief that is very accurate. USC quarterbacks, for whatever reason, and I'm talking about the University of Southern California quarterbacks, man, how many more USC quarterbacks do we need to see bust out that are just not worth taking as a pick? I mean, think about how many USC quarterbacks have been drafted, high picks too, that have all just fluttered out.
Okay, how far back do you want to go?
How far back would you want to go, Grump? What are you talking about, the last 20, the last 30 years?
Okay, do you even know who the quarterbacks drafted in the last 30 years out of USC are?
Could you name them, Grumpy, off the top?
No, I could not. That's what I'm saying. It's easy to say that unless you actually look at it.
Here's the thing. I do know you've got I'm talking about the really top end ones, right? Your Matt Leinerts, you got Sam Darnolds. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'll pull them up though, Grump. And again, Carson Palmer is the one that has excelled out of there. But let me pull up the list, Grump.
How many great quarterbacks are there in the NFL?
Okay, when you're hold on. There's not, I'd say out of great quarterbacks, I'd say you're looking at probably about now is more than it used to be. Now I think you've got about 14 or 15 really top end QBs. It used to not always be that way. I think usually it used to be about 10.
Okay. So 10 on any given year. And how many should be coming from a certain school?
When you're getting quarterbacks that are consistently drafted in the top 10, well,
how many been drafted in the top 10? You're going to say Darnold and Leinart? Is that what you're going to say?
Okay, let's even go out of that, right? You've got guys who were drafted again. I mean, like you look at your Cody Kesslers, he was a 3rd-round pick. I've got to go back. Matt Barkley, remember he's highly vaunted guy out of high school. He was a 4th-round pick.
No one thought Matt Barkley was a great quarterback.
Mark Sanchez.
He was a top 10.
He was a 5th-round pick, right? Let me give me a sec. I'll go back through the list. I'm just trying to remember. There's a shit ton of USC quarterbacks. Most of them get unbelievable hype, and not rightfully so.
True, they do.
Now we're talking 3 different QBs that I can name off just the top of my head without even looking at a list that are top 5 QBs that have been selected, all from USC that have busted out. Because I think they get a lot of hype because they play at USC, and they get a lot of hype in the rankings because they play in that weak ass Pac-12 too.
Okay, you realize the Pac-12 was not historically a weak conference. That's relatively new. Okay,
Last 20 years.
Could you not say the same thing about Oklahoma? They had what, 4 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, and all of them have kind of busted out, except for maybe Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray's a good QB.
Sam Bradford.
Yeah, Sam Bradford. Well, the injuries I think didn't help Bradford, but
Okay,
Bradford didn't live up to expectations.
Kyler Murray.
I'd say
Baker
Kyler
Mayfield.
Murray is on the path. Baker Mayfield, no. I'd say, and again, Jalen Hurts, no.
Right. I mean, it just kind of is what it is. I mean, just because you go to a certain schools have that cachet, right? Notre Dame, another school. Montana came from Notre Dame, right? I mean, but can you name,
the last high pick I can think of? He wasn't as high, but Brady Quinn was, I think, the last quarterback I'm thinking from Notre Dame that got a lot of hype. Brady Quinn. I'm going back, right?
Yeah, he was a first-round pick.
I'm thinking he was like a mid-first round pick, if I'm thinking.
Yeah. Quarterback's a different position. Look at Alabama. I mean, look at how high their guys are getting picked. Are they great? It's because they play for Alabama. They win all the time.
Who the hell was that other QB I'm thinking of that was drafted in the first round by them? Todd. Oh, I can't. Now, this is before.
Todd Marinovich?
He didn't pan out, did he?
No, that was for a totally different reason, though.
He was a first round pick, right?
By the Raiders. That was a totally different thing. His dad had him from when he was a kid, just grooming him to be a football quarterback. And when he went away to school, he only played 2 years at USC. When he went away to school, he, experienced freedom for the first time. I think he's a surfer now or some shit like that. But he started taking drugs. He started drinking alcohol, where, he got freedom for the first time and just, I don't want to play football anymore. It just, it is what it is. Crazy.
Yeah. But again, if you think about the big ones, I think of the Mark Sanchez, I think of Matt Leinart, I think of Sam Darnold, right? Those are guys who are all top 5 picks in the last 2 decades. And Carson Palmer is the only exception, right? Now, was he a mid? Was he a top 10 pick or mid? First?
Number one.
Gotcha.
Number one. Well, was he great?
No.
I mean, he was with Cincinnati.
He was a good QB, but not
great.
He was
with Cincinnati, and he had a career resurgence in Arizona for a year or two. I mean, he was okay. He was good.
He was good. He was a good quarterback.
But he wasn't a great quarterback.
He was always on the fringe, right? If you put the top 10 quarterbacks, I think he was always maybe around 10, 11, 12. He was never a guy who was a top 5 QB.
A couple of years he was.
Okay. Stephen P says, I predict an Amani Edwards 2.0 with the Panthers. A waste of a great pick on a no-name.
I remember that pick.
Armani Edwards was the quarterback from Appalachian State when Appalachian State was, I think, a D1 AA school, and they were winning national championships. It was like they were the North Dakota State University.
Right? North Dakota State's had a couple of quarterbacks drafted. Have they panned out? So far, you'd have to say no.
Carson Wentz was okay before the injuries.
Okay.
And the guy just seems like he's a glass jaw. Trey Lance hasn't even touched really the field, so it's tough to judge him. And they've got the new QB, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Failure 3.0 is his name.
He's penciled in to be a first-round pick, too, this year.
Like I said.
Matt Corral, they said, they could be also first-round picks. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Alexander says, if Tampa wins, they'll be the first team since the Islanders win 3 consecutive cups. Absolutely. And no, Carter Hart's not a bust. He's still young. I don't know about that. I think he's headed towards the bust side, but I think it doesn't help that he played in Philly. James F saying here, Jim Plunkett should be a Hall of Famer, Grumpy.
His numbers weren't great. He knew how to win though. In the big games. He did. He played well in big games. Won 2 Super Bowls you'd think he'd be in. He's probably going to be a Veterans Committee guy though, if he gets in.
What a film said.
And really think he was born to 2 deaf parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Really nice guy too. Really nice guy.
What a film saying, thank you guys. I know you've always got my back. Your podcast and the listeners have become like family. Family to me. So I'm a happy camper. I'd love to hear that, Wooden. Thank you always. Kind words.
I hope Charlie's doing well too.
Absolutely. And then Alexander saying, it's amazing how all these bums in South Florida start coming out of the woodworks, like all of a sudden, like hockey, just because of how good they are, and they can't name 3 players. And that's anywhere you go to a team that's really doing well, there's so many fair weather fans. It's like, it pissed me. It pisses me off because I'm like, you're not a true freaking fan, and you're trying to pretend like you're a fan like me, and you're not.
Okay, here's the thing. You want to know what the Florida Panthers are saying? There is plenty of room on this bandwagon. Jump on. Tampa Bay's had pretty good crowds for a long time, but Florida has not. So you know what? That's how you get to become a fan. Your team wins a little bit, all of a sudden you become a fan. That's how, and you get the young kids into it, and they're fans for life. You're going to see this flower, hopefully, for Florida in the years to come. I like to see hockey flourish everywhere, honestly.
It's a great sport full of great people. What if film said, more Cowboys talk, Grumpy? You secretly love them, but it's a shame. Jason Witten never won a Super Bowl. He's one of the great players in the NFL.
Well, if he could have been a backup tight end in New England, and he would have won some Super Bowls.
Oh, there it goes. Wow, Grumpy, you think he's going to play till 55? Yeah,
I tell you what, I think you could see him play until he's 47.
So you think he'll play this year and maybe 2 more?
Yeah, I think he wants to go out with the Super Bowl. That's what he wants to win a Super Bowl and then walk away.
Frank says, hey, everybody, what's up? Frank, Gator Country says, Sanchez wasn't bad. Mark Sanchez, I don't know. I don't know.
The butt fumble did him in. That was the end of him, the butt fumble.
Mark Sanchez was a guy. Yeah, thanks for that, Joseph C. And he kind of just snapped. Yeah, and Wentz can play. I don't know. Wentz is a guy who he's a middle of the road QB. He's not bad. He's not good, but he's kind of middle of the road. If you would have asked me this before he tore his ACL when he was heading on the MVP season with the Philadelphia Eagles, I said, holy shit, this guy has the chance to do it all. He gets the ACL, then he has the back injuries, he's got the ankle injuries. He just has been a guy who's been really hard done by injuries.
He was really good at that RPO. That's where the RPO was invented, right?
Yep.
Was Philadelphia that year. And if he hadn't gotten hurt, he would have won league MVP.
Yes.
Eagles probably still would have won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But after that knee injury, he's never been the same. He had the squabble he had the squabble
injury too.
Right, but he had the squabble with the Eagles management. I think he's finished. He's done.
I mean, I like him too. He seems like a guy that, no matter what he does, he puts forth a lot of effort. He fights through injuries, but he just can't stay healthy. He's one of those type of guys.
His biggest issue is he's a loser.
My God. Drill says Tampa is winning the cup. They'll three-peat. They're way too damn good, Grumpy. I liked your pick until tonight. Florida's going to lose 7 or 8, or going to lose by 7 or 8-4. Plunkett was clutch.
He was. He had a funky looking way he threw the ball, though. It was from the shoulder surgeries. He didn't throw. It's like he had a bad, just ugly looking. Guys like that don't get Hall of Fame looks. They just don't. Like, oh, he doesn't look pretty out there. Yeah, he gets the job done, but you know what? Certain guys look better. Brady just looks good. Peyton Manning just looked good back there. Some guys don't.
Alexander says, what a films behind you all the way. Keep it up, man. Many blessings also. And no matter what, I'll always be an Islander fan until I die. Same here. Gator Country says, Flyers fans still reliving the glory days.
Most of them are dead from when they were good. That's like 50 years ago.
Oh, Christopher C said, Grumpy, why would you want a three-peat for the Lightning? It means no fun. The teams can never win a cup, or teams who never won a cup deserve a chance to win the cup.
Okay, I'm not saying I was rooting for them to win. I said I think they're going to win. There's a difference. And here's the thing. If you're not good enough to beat them, I love greatness. I appreciate it, and I respect it. They're a truly great team and a great organization. They know what they're doing. If they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. I just think that I like their chances of winning. That's all I'm going to say. I think if they played Colorado in the finals, Colorado's no shot.
Frank says Colorado and the Canes in the finals. Watch out.
I don't think so. I think Tampa. I'm thinking Tampa.
I don't know.
I just have that feeling.
So what does that do to our excuse train of, hey, we've had to play late into the playoffs every single year. We can't manage to be successful if Tampa wins another one. Oh, man. Oh, guys, what are the Islanders' biggest offseason needs?
Wow.
That's a lot. There's a lot. Forwards.
Defense, top 4 left-handed defensemen, 2 scoring wingers, dump a lot of the trash that's on this team.
Too much.
New coach, new GM.
Oh, Grumpy, I'll keep it short because you'll go on and on and on. But speaking about hockey, I want to talk about 2 particular players that I don't think are household names. I know one of them certainly isn't. One maybe will have the chance to be so, but one of these players is having an unbelievable season, and you wouldn't even know it based off of the lack of press and coverage that he gets. Now, everybody always talks about Erik Karlsson, right? Unbelievable offensive defenseman. The Cale Makars, the Devon Taves. The list goes on and on. Well, it's funny. Nobody's talking about Roman Josi. Roman Josi now has hit 90 points as a defenseman. The first time that's been done since 1994. And it seems like he has gone completely just under the radar. I know he plays for Nashville.
There you go. There you go. You just answered your own question. He plays for Nashville.
90 points, though. Erik Karlsson. I know he was playing in Ottawa at the time period, but it makes you think, okay, what would the hype and the press be behind a guy like Roman Josi if you put up 90 points, let's say hypothetically in Ottawa, or Toronto, or Colorado, or the Rangers? What would the hype be? Ugh.
Toronto. If it was Toronto, all you'd hear is Roman Josi. And here's the thing, he's good. Damn good. Does anyone really talk about Erik Karlsson anymore?
No.
Just you.
I don't know. No, I'm just saying, right? He was peaked. Oh, Erik Karlsson was top. Never really played much. Roman Josi actually plays some defense too, right?
Yeah.
So not only does it add offensive pop to the party, but he actually plays defense.
Yeah. If he didn't play for Nashville, if he played for a bigger media market team, you'd hear a lot about him.
It makes me wonder this, right? He's got 90 points. I think they still have a few games left to play. It makes me realistically think, okay, how far could Roman Josi, how many, because, right, wouldn't you pencil him in as the favorite to win the Norris? I forgot he had won the Norris Trophy in 2019, 2020.
I don't know. Maybe Hedman this year. He's really had to do a lot of heavy lifting in Tampa Bay this year. But would it surprise me if Josi won? No. He's been good. But once again, plays for Nashville.
Let me ask you this. Is he ironing out himself a spot to potentially be a guy who might be on track to make the Hall of Fame?
What's he played? 3 years, TJ? So, I know you like to do that. But, I mean, he's really good. He's really good. Again, I don't think he gets anywhere near the credit and the notoriety that his talent deserves. It just doesn't. I didn't even know he had 90 points. I knew he was good, but I didn't realize he had that many points.
I didn't either. I knew he was having a good season. I didn't know 90 points good. And here's the thing. Roman Josi's played 11 years in the NHL, and he's in a spot to where he won the Norris in 2019, 2020. He very well could make a case to win the Norris this year. If he wins the Norris this year, and that's what I think I asked, if he wins the Norris, does he put himself in contention to be a Hall of Fame? When you win the Norris 2 years, in your career, and you look at his point production, right? As a defenseman, 536 points over 756 games. He's 31 years old. You think he'll still be able to play a few more years, a few more really productive years. So, but he's about to turn 32 towards the tail end of this year. I think he could be on track to putting himself in, Hall of Fame candidate discussions.
Yeah. Well, you win 2 Norris trophies, you're in good shape to make the Hall of Fame eventually.
And he's been top, you look at the times he's been top 5. He was top 5 in Norris in 2015 or 2014-15 and 2015-16. So, it's not like, just had 2 miraculous years and everywhere else have been kind of, pedestrian. The guy's had a lot of consistent play, right? His first season this year, he scored 20 or more goals as well. It's just, I think he's averaging 25 minutes and 30 seconds of ice time a night.
I'll tell you one thing, and not to minimize
this. Roman Josi. Good for Roman Josi.
Yeah, not to minimize the subject. Scoring is really up this year across the league. The NHL has to be happy with that. And they did it without
compromising the game.
Yes. Just by, saying that younger, smaller players, more skilled players are able to play now, where that was not the case in the past. Just game was too tough for them physically. The little ticky-tack fouls that they give teams, which I despise, it's helped get scoring up without saying, okay, goaltenders, you have to go back to the 1970s equipment and the butterfly style. And I know they must be very proud of themselves up in New York.
Now let me ask you this too, because we talked about if he was playing, and I want to go one more item back to Roman Josi. We had talked about if he was playing for a big name market, for Toronto, for an Ottawa. Do you think if he was playing for Toronto, he would be in conversation to win the Hart Trophy for most valuable player in the NHL?
You got to forget that they love Connor McDavid up there too. So as long as it's a Canadian player, those are the guys who are going to push.
Oh man. But good for him. I hope he wins the Norris this year. I know I've been rooting for Devon Taves, with the greatest plus minus in the last 3 decades of sport, in the last 3 decades of the NHL. He's got the highest in the last 3 decades. But I wouldn't be opposed to a guy like Roman Josi after the season he's put in, win himself another Norris.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if he wound up winning it. Would not surprise me.
But I was shocked that his numbers were that good.
Now, I did not realize that either.
Here's a guy who's younger, a later pick. And again, people always ask, well, why does it matter if you pick up a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick? For a guy like Kirill Kaprizov, he's got himself his first 100-point season.
Wow.
And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I knew he was playing well. I didn't know 100+ points well, though.
If he was playing for the Islanders, he'd probably have about 50 points.
If he was playing for the Islanders, he'd probably have 60.
And, well, he might not. He'd be playing on the 3rd line, first of all, and he'd only be getting 12 minutes a night on the ice.
Yeah, I had, you kind of look at the end of the season, you said, holy shit, I know Kirill Kaprizov's played well. I didn't know 100 points well.
Can I just say one thing? He was picked in the 5th round. But the reason he was picked in the 5th round is because they've had the squabble with the KHL about players coming over. So Russian players are drafted lower than their talent dictates.
That's
in a lot of instances.
He was drafted in 2015. That's just not true.
It absolutely was true back then. Absolutely it was. Look at how many years it took him to get to the NHL.
I don't know. There weren't. I'm looking back. I'm trying.
Last year he was a rookie. He was a rookie last year.
Yeah. Let me go.
He was in the same situation as Sorokin.
Dennis Guardnoff was drafted 12th that year. He was from the KHL. He was drafted by Dallas that year. Dallas had drafted. Remember when they had drafted? High pick winger. I can't remember his name. It seems like Dallas used to look a lot towards those KHL players. I'm trying to remember his name. Oh shit, give me a second. Oh, Niskutsin. No, Valeri Niskutsin. He was drafted 10th overall. Another Russian that was drafted 10th overall in 2013. But okay, it's not just as simple as, he played Russia, so he doesn't get drafted as high. It's not.
He didn't get drafted as high because he played in Russia.
Bullshit. Oh, you're ridiculous.
But yes, I mean, tremendous performance by him, without a doubt.
Yeah, and again, another guy who's done so in a very quiet fashion, that he's played that way. Good for him.
His emergence made Zach Parise expendable.
Yep. I don't doubt it. And again, he's a guy who you have to feel comfortable. He's only 24 years old still.
Yeah.
So, 101 points already this season. Congratulations, obviously, to Kaprizov. But let me get back to a few comments here so we can get up to date with those two, Grumpy. Guys, we already talked about that. Gator Country says the Islanders need goals and lots of them to have a chance. Yeah, absolutely. Alexander says Philip Forsberg gets more love than Roman Josi.
True.
I think Philip Forsberg gets the love and attention right now because he's a free agent. Roman Yosi's locked up for like another 6 or 7 years. I think that has to do with it a little bit too.
Forwards get more love than defensemen. They just do.
Even though Roman Yosi's got more points this season than Philip Forsberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
On this day, what happened in NHL history or in Islanders history 6 years ago?
6 years ago.
Did we win our first playoff series? No. Did we beat Florida 6 years ago this day?
6 years. So that's 1990. What? Not 1990. 2016. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's the first time we made the playoffs in like forever.
You see, no, I know I think that had to be the first time we had won a series. Maybe we beat the Florida Panthers in 2016.
It's still no, that's not. It was still too early. Calendar wise, no.
We had finished 5th under Jack Capuano. I don't know.
Maybe it's the first year we went to the playoffs in like forever.
I don't know. Tell me. Let us know. I don't know what it is, James. Gator Country also says every team needs an offensive defenseman. And just as he said, the Norris Trophy seems like it goes to the best offensive defenseman. Yeah, so I expect Roman Josi to win it. They've had an award for a stay at they need an award for a stay-at-home defensive defenseman. I agree with that.
True.
Okay.
Let's call it the Adam Pellick Award.
And the Islanders won 3 playoff series in 23 years on this day. Okay. What happened to Brendan Burke and why the Islanders? He's doing play-by-play in Bridgeport. I have no idea.
He had COVID.
Yeah, he had COVID. Well, I thought I'm still waiting for the 6 years ago item that he had mentioned. And need a long-arm defenseman to break up passes, break up chances. Yep, Paulo C says here, Grumpy, there are only 5 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in NFL history never to win a Super Bowl. Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Dan Fouts, Warren Moon, and I didn't know this, but Fran Tarkenton, who played for the Minnesota Vikings.
And the New York Football Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Started out with the Vikings, got traded to the Giants, and then went back to the Vikings. When he retired, he had all the records.
We're correct. Okay, that was when we had finally beaten the Florida Panthers on this day, I guess 6 years ago. Wow.
I just don't think that the playoffs started in April. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Jeremy F says Zach Parise's contract made him expendable. And Ryan. Yeah, for certain.
But it's easier to let a guy go when you have somebody who could replace him for a mere pittance compared to what he makes.
Mm-hmm. And I think the Wild can be a sleeper team this year. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I think watch out for St. Louis. I think they're going to be tougher than, I know they're first in their division, but still, I think they're kind of under the radar. I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup playoffs this year.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. And now not having a dog in the fight, at least I can just watch and enjoy all the beautiful play.
Maybe they'll be more exciting with more scoring. Really, do you really want to watch 2-1 games every game, 1-0?
Well, the Islanders did actually score a lot in the playoffs. They just didn't score much against Tampa
at all.
Against Tampa. Yeah. And I think watching the Islanders game, I recorded. So they mentioned it recently. Okay, that's what it is. Jeremy Ford saying a good evening, good Sunday evening, good evening there, Jeremy. A good call on finishing 9th place, Grump. I hope we finish 10th.
Yeah, I hope we do too. I have to think. I remember I said I thought we'd go 3-5 down the stretch. That's not looking so good. We've lost 5 in a row now.
Steve Porter said, I want to hear some hot takes on the WNBA season. I couldn't even. Are they in season right now?
Yeah, Brittany Griner's going to play for Team Russia.
Oh, is she gonna come back? Is she gonna play? Well, oh man.
Is she still in jail over there? Who really cares?
I don't even know. I was about to say, it's just like there's so much that goes on with the sports world. I couldn't even tell you.
Okay. I'm just going to say,
what, Grumpy?
She's probably
the biggest WNBA player around, right?
Okay. Let's say Aaron Judge is over there.
Or LeBron. Could you imagine,
right? James.
LeBron James. Oh my God. Could you imagine what happened if LeBron James is over there?
Pick any man's sport and have them locked up in Russia. People would care. Does anyone even remember that Brittany Griner was in, except for me, is still in Russia? For what? For pot possession? How long are they going to keep it locked up? I realize they deal with drugs a little bit differently over there, but it's like, Brittany, you ever coming home?
Mm-hmm. James F says here,
Britnushka.
Who is the biggest sleeper in the draft? TJ, you go first. Depends on who drops. Like talent wise, if I have if I'm sorting the talent, I've got guys on the list. It just really depends on who slips. I couldn't tell you who's a sleeper in the draft who I've got earmarked out. I haven't gone that deep yet. I'm planning on doing that today, some this week too. So I'm prepped. I'm prepped for this Thursday. Gotta make sure I'm prepped.
I tend to look more towards who's going to be a bust.
Oh, and who is that going to be, Grumpy? Who do you think's going to be a bust in this year's draft,
Who's
huh?
going to be Mekhi Becton this year? I don't know.
Mekhi Becton is not a freaking bust, Grump.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay.
When he's healthy, he plays well.
Yeah.
I hope the Rangers.
I think that was 7th grade. Was the last time he was fully healthy. 7th grade.
As Jay says, I hope the Rangers don't do anything in the playoffs. You, me, both. And Marino had a quick release for certain. He did.
Lightning quick release. Namath. He had like a Namath release. They were both that good.
Will the playoffs be on regular TV? Can I get rid of this FUBU TV?
I bet not all of them are on TV.
Mm.
They're probably going to be on ESPN Plus and ABC.
Mm.
ESPN maybe, ESPN2.
Flumpy okay, Grump, continue.
Yeah, I think they're going to use the ESPN networks to put the playoff games out there.
Flumpy Scump, I'm not showing any of those lewd comments that you post up, so don't make those, and I'll show your comments. Simple
Skipping the scump.
Yeah, skipping the scump. Skipping on the scump.
Yeah, Flumpy.
Correct.
We can't put.
It's a family-friendly show.
It's a family-friendly show.
Come on, the name Flumpy Scump is already a weird name.
Flumpy Scump is it's a pretty provocative name.
It's a funny name, I think.
It's provocative.
Here's the thing: we could be saying this, and this could be like a lewd sexual action, and we have no idea. So I might actually have to look up what that is, and I'll have to do so with like having my hands over my fingers because the comments that individual makes they're questionable at best. Alexander says, Grump TJ, who do you think we have a top 5 pick? You guys think we have a top 5 pick? What do you mean?
No, I don't think we're going to win the draft lottery, so we will not have a top 5 pick.
No.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year's draft.
Frank saying $60 a month to watch the Islanders suck on top of $170 for cable internet. Thanks, Islanders. Oof.
Yeah. True.
Tony Queso said, Grumpy said Mekhi Becton was a bust, not a bust. Yeah, because he was towards the end. You said he wasn't a bust yet. And he's not a bust yet, Grumpy. If he stays healthy, and hey, I heard he's under 400 pounds now. It's going to be even more mobile than before, Grump.
398. And he is a bust, but just his bus got flat tires. They just explode.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. And then Frank saying, I will pay extra money to watch the Islanders like many others because of Comcast. Ugh, I tell you. And then Joseph C said, Kyle Schwarber has just lost his mind on a horrible strike call against Angel Hernandez. Oh, he's awful. Funny stuff. I still can't believe Angel Hernandez still has a job. He's an awful umpire. Ugh.
Yeah, he's one of the worst in the league.
Yes, send me that. I want to see it. And now Mateo, if Flumpy Scump has to be Mateo, what is this? Keep the comments normal. Come on now. Go Greyhounds, Grumpy. Says James F. Jesus. Oh, my God. I don't even know what the hell to say. Jesus. But did Lou do what was best for the team? A resounding no. Should have traded Chara, Green, Clutterbuck. Maybe got some back from later. So why am I paying double on cable for this? WTF. Yeah, they should have traded Clutterbuck 2 weeks or a week before when Colorado was in town looking at him and said they were interested. Should have traded him then. But they had the handshake deal with Andy Green and Zdeno Chara, and the handshake deal is so important. We couldn't go ahead and say, nope, we're moving you somewhere else. Oh, man, I tell you.
Very important. Yes, it is.
I have to feel like the Flumpy Scump is Tony Queso because Jesus Christ, says the Flumpy Scump is the bee's knees. Yeah. Flumpy Scump's picture is of Kanye West's first album. Yeah. He wants to eat Tony Queso at my house. No, thank you. Oh, man. I'll tell you. Drew L says the Nets are like plankton trying to steal a Krabby Patty formula. Oh, man.
They try, but always fail.
Yeah, I tell you. Oh, man, I'll tell you. Grumpy, I do have a few items I wanted to show you that I came prep with. Now, did you happen to see kind of the interaction that Leah Hextall had with Wayne Simmons?
Say that again? Yes. I did, yes.
Okay, I want to show you.
I heard Simmons, and I'm back to Ben Simmons. I'm like, didn't we talk about Ben Simmons? Wayne Simmons, yes.
We talked about Wayne Simmons. Okay, now Wayne Simmons, tough guy. Everybody knows in the NHL. gets.
Absolutely.
I'll guess I'll pull up his career fight numbers. And he is been known to be a guy who is a career tough guy, a guy who fights and is really, really tough for Philly. It's been tough anywhere he's gone. What, Grump? I feel like you want to interrupt.
Yeah, you don't have to be a fighter to be a tough guy. I mean, everyone knows that he's a legitimate tough guy out there, a real lunch pail player. I mean, I don't understand.
But what you're going to hear here, is that Leah Hextall kind of isn't prepared or doesn't know what's going on and asks the question and kind of puts Wayne Simmons in this odd spot. So I'll let you listen to it. And I thought it was just kind of have a little bit of a funny exchange because, Wayne Simmons personifies what it is to be a tough, a lunch pail NHLer for certain. He does.
This has been a very physical contest. I was privy to your conversation with Pat Maroon here in between the benches. I know you guys have a history and have dropped the mitts before. He called you soft. My question is, are you?
Can I ask you first, what do you think about that question?
Well, what?
I'll let him respond. It's only 20 seconds, and I want to ask what you think about the question.
Ask him. We've never dropped the gloves. He's never obliged me before, so I don't know. I don't think I'm the one that's soft.
All right, Wayne. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
This has been a very physical contest. I was privy to your conversation with Pat Maroon here in between the benches. I know you guys have a history and have dropped the mitts before. He called you soft. My question is, are you?
My question is, are you? Is she like a WWE promoter right now? It's like,
I would have asked, first of all, look at Wayne Simmons has like no teeth.
I was about to say,
you don't have no teeth from not being tough. My question is, Leah, is it true that you got your job because Ron Hextall is your uncle? I want to know.
Or your cousin. I think they're related in some fashion. Yeah. That's the reason she got the job.
Is it because of the Hextall is it the only reason that you got a job behind the bench because you're related to Ron Hextall? I want to know.
It was a weird. Honestly, it's maybe because like a lot. I mean, Pierre Maguire's bad at what he does. I'm not a big Pierre Maguire fan.
I like Pierre Maguire.
Sometimes he does all right. Sometimes, not so much.
I like him.
I tell you, it's something else. But this question, the way she asked it, I felt like I was at like a WWE or like she's promoting a fight. Like she's like Wayne Simmons and Patrick Maroon's next fight. He's calling you soft. Are you soft?
I want to know.
What? That's just a weird way to ask a question. And hey, I'm not saying I don't necessarily.
Okay.
I don't hate it, but it's a really odd way to ask the question.
Usually the between the bench girls are pretty. She's not. So she has to try to do I'm going to be the tough hitting journalist.
I don't even think it's that.
Oh, I do.
No, I don't even think it's that. Because sometimes you have guys down there, but most times, right, it's guys who Pierre Maguire's awful. I'm not a big Pierre Maguire fan. But I mean, sometimes they offer a little bit of insight. That's not usually a question or how that's phrased by a hockey announcer. I've listened to a lot of hockey, watched a lot of hockey games, but they don't say, he's calling you soft. My question to you is, are you? What? Everybody who knows, anybody who's watched hockey more than like 5 games knows who Wayne Simmons is. And I know that he's a tough son of a gun. So they wouldn't be asking questions. So that's why I feel like I'm getting like introduced by like a WWE promoter or like a UFC promoter. He's calling you soft. Are you soft, Wayne Simmons? No, I'm not soft. Like, come on.
Has he ever won a Stanley Cup, Wayne Simmons?
I honestly don't remember.
Could be the year.
He's played 14 career years in the NHL. Did he win in Los Angeles? When the hell did they win the Kings? Because he played 3 years to start his career off with the Kings.
I thought he was with Philadelphia.
He started off his NHL career with the Kings.
Well, I'm going to say no.
Okay. He went to Philly in 2011, 2012 was his first year in Philly. And he played in Philly until the 2018-19 season, and he kind of bounced from team to team. He's been with Toronto the last 2 years. Hold on. You said this might be the year he might be able to win a cup with
Toronto. He's in Toronto? I thought that's a Tampa jersey. My bad.
No,
nope. Sorry, Wayne. You won't be winning this year.
I did find it odd that I was like, maybe she should look in like WWE promotion, like UFC promotion, something like that to like a, that like it was a very odd. That's not how most NHL announcers or NHL broadcast crew ask questions like that. And people are like, oh, she didn't know he got in the fight. Here's the thing. I couldn't remember anybody who's fought everybody. And like, she has somebody usually radio in, I'm sure, like, oh, ask him a question like this. I just thought the way they phrased the question was a little odd. But I cannot wait to see Angel Hernandez. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you for this one. This is going to be a good one here. Let's go. Kyle Schwarber losing his shit. God almighty on Angel Hernandez.
Oh,
saw a little bit of the clip. Hold on.
This is great. Classic.
Oh my
It's a
God.
ninth inning too.
Oh my, bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth. Philly is down 1-0 to the Brewers.
John Hader on the mound.
Oh yeah, don't be a hater. Let's see.
Called strike 3, and Schwarber is thrown
Low and outside.
I'll tell you what, that's close enough though that he shouldn't be losing his mind. That pitch was close.
It was a full count. That's outside. That's outside, man. Come on.
Okay, it's close though, and I'm telling you, those pitchers when the lefties are coming slinging across the plate, they often get the benefit. That pitch is close. It's not like it's 8 inches outside.
It's low and outside. It's on the bottom. It's on the very bottom of the strike zone, and it's outside.
It's
That's not one usually with a full count you give the pitcher.
It's a little.
And who knows? Here's the other thing too. We haven't seen those calls. Maybe he wasn't giving those calls to Philly today. Who the hell knows? But let's see.
I'm not saying that it wasn't necessarily outside, but the way he reacted, that pitch should have been like another 6 inches outside, another foot. And then he really complained.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Called strike 3, and Schwarber is thrown out of the game, and he had zero issue with getting thrown out. Making it very clear. You've missed him inside, outside, up, and down. Kyle Schwarber thrown out.
Yeah, he's pissed.
Being punched out by Angel Hernandez.
There's Joe Girardi. What else Joe going to say? That hasn't been said already.
My God, Joe Girardi.
One thing that umpires have to be is consistent throughout a game.
They've got to be consistent. And the other thing is, too, umpires usually are really, really, really calm individuals because when these players start flipping his shit on you, for you to be standing there just like taking it. I mean, Angel Hernandez, I'm sure, has taken quite a verbal beat down before, so it's not new to him.
True.
He's talking about the whole game.
He's like, you effing suck.
My God.
Now, Schwarber is speaking for both sides tonight.
Oh, good grief.
I guess so. Yeah, when the announcers are saying that, it means he was probably a little sketchy around the plate all night long. He's speaking for both sides tonight.
Oh, good gracious. Good gracious.
No wonder it was a 1-0 game. That's all I have to say. If you're calling pitches all over, hey, strike. You got to strike. You got to strike.
It's not me. It's too much work being two people during one podcast. I agree. Tony Casso probably is too much work. Yeah, that's hey, Grumpy, you rhyme with Scumpy. I don't know who the hell this is.
I don't know who Flumpy Scump. It's a good name though, Flumpy Scump. And I'm looking at the picture. I don't know what it means.
It's an album cover.
Oh, that's an album cover?
Kanye West's first album.
Okay. I don't know much about. I know who Kanye West is, but I don't know anything about his music.
Thank you, Joseph, for that. Oh, you don't. Oh, Kanye West has a lot of good songs back in the day.
I didn't say. Okay, first of all, what you think is good songs doesn't necessarily mean that they're good songs. But I understand he's popular. I do understand that.
Yeah, he's very popular. Very popular.
I didn't say he wasn't.
Popular guy, Grump. Anyway, Frank saying, I'm glad I dropped the Nets after 30 plus years. Guaranteed in writing to my buddy they wouldn't win a round in the playoffs. Offered him a bet of $1,000 to his 100, and he wouldn't. LOL. After they fired Kenny A.
Maybe Kenny Albert. I remember the Nets when they were the Long Island Nets back in the day, and Dr. J was flushing down slams in the Nassau Coliseum, man. They were fun to watch. The ABA was a fun league. The red, white, and blue ball. Woo!
Drew L says, as a Knicks fan, I don't know. That not KD and Kyrie was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, true. No, maybe not KD, but Kyrie is just, I tell you what, it looks like he needs to be on some type of medication to even him out a little bit.
Alexander says, yeah, Leah Hextall is terrible. Yeah, she's not great. Just like the question, the way it was asked was an odd one.
Like I said, what he just said was, Leah, is the only reason you got this job because you're related to Ron Hextall? I want to know. And she would have been like this, but. She wouldn't know what to say. Somebody say, hey, it's like the record. Makes her they skip it up. It's just like a skip.
It's the great name of Hextall at the back end. It's like if Gretzky had a kid. Gretzky doesn't matter. Now, Gretzky, if they Gretzky
doesn't have a kid.
daughter.
I think she's married to Dustin Johnson, the golfer.
Yeah, she's very attractive, if I recall that correctly. But if for example, if Gretzky's kid wanted to do something, they would open up the doors and say, "Come right on in, Wayne Gretzky's kid. We want you to be involved any way possible."
I mean, they let Wayne do broadcasts, and he's terrible.
Thoughts on cucumbers, pickles, and mustard on hot dogs is what I'll say for that one, Flumpy Scump. No on cucumbers, pickles, or mustard. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Anyway, oh, good gracious, I tell you, man, let's go here. I've got a few more items I want to show you, and thanks for that one, Joseph. We had talked a little bit about how Debo wants out of San Francisco. Now, I want to show you. Now, this was sent by Alexander, and I appreciate this. This was him last evening, I believe, at a club. I couldn't tell you. I think this is a club in Vegas, and I'll let you look. I just want to get your initial reaction if you think that, hey, Debo is going to be staying here or not. So the sign says, in like a big neon sign, this is why I assume this is someplace in Vegas. It says Debo is staying as a 49er.
Is staying.
Did you see that? He just went, no.
He's just enjoying himself. He doesn't want to be looked at and saying those things. He's just enjoying himself. That means nothing.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, fair enough. I just didn't know what you thought about that. Okay, fair enough, Grumpy.
You know what I thought? I'm never going to go into a club again.
Grumpy, when's the last time you've been to a club?
It's been forever, and it will never happen again. I mean, I'm just like, this is just not for me. Even watching that clip, I was like, this is not for me. Sorry, clip.
Yeah, Grumpy, I don't think necessarily they have couches like that at the clubs.
No, I'm sure they don't. Well, no, the VIPs have those couches.
Mateo N says, Grump, what do you think about windshield wiper fluid? Can you go with or without it?
I use it when necessary.
There it is. What a great answer. What a wise answer by the grumpy old man. Anyway, you need to check out.
It's not like I'm going to shoot my windshield wiper fluid up all over the place. It's just, when you need to use it, you use it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Grumpy. Absolutely. And then Grump, I would have loved a series between 4 cup-winning Islanders against the 4 cup-winning Canadians in the late 70s. What a series that would be.
We did. When the Canadians were winning cups, they were beating us. When we were winning cups, we were beating the Canadians. We did see that.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Imagine Katie and Kyrie against the 90s Knicks. They would cry a lot, literally.
Yeah, soft. Here's the thing. I don't think Kyrie is soft. I think Kevin Durant is. You can, and what I mean by soft, you can body him, and it affects his game.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, we talked.
Those teams were physical. Those Knicks teams back in the 90s were physical.
Steve Porter says, opinions on the new pitcher/catcher communication system.
They're trying to speed up the game. Is it working? No.
I don't mind that games are a little long.
I know Stephen Porter is trying to portray himself as some type of lion in the jungle with this picture, I think.
Yeah, hold on. It's just a picture of a lion.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say that he's a lion.
Okay, or maybe he just likes the pitch. I don't know what you.
He's probably a fan of the Detroit Lions or some other loser franchise like that.
No. Good gracious. And then I feel empty. Thank you, freaking Lou. And says Frank, Kyle Schwarber basically said, you suck. You're terrible. Get the hell out of here. And her name is Paulina Gretzky. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, Paulina. That's her name.
Kent Atkinson, the coach. He was a great developer of the Nets. Loved him. The Softy Stars had him fired after Kenny benched the Stars and beat the Lakers with his bench in L.A.
Terrible.
He says he's a Pirates fan, Grumpy. And The Pirates, just speaking of the Pirates, I think got beat 21-0 yesterday.
Impressive.
Holy shit.
Most
My
impressive.
goodness gracious. Mario said the Oilers ended both of the Canadians and the Islanders dynasties.
No, the Canadians were done before. They ended the Islanders dynasty, though. That they did. So that means that Stephen Porter is probably a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, too, if I'm betting. Good luck with Mitchell Trubisky as your quarterback.
Oh, good gracious. Yeah, they've definitely got some room to go. So I wanted to now one more. I've got 2 items left. One that will actually be more sports related, another one that will be kind of funny. Now, I was thinking Miguel Cabrera got his 3,000th career hit just recently. I was looking then at the list, and the MLB had produced a list as of players that possibly could be approaching or maybe have the ability based off the talent and their projection to have 3,000 hits. And I look at this list, Grump, and I'm not sure many have a chance. That's all I'm going to say on this one. They show Robinson Cano, who's 400, about 360 hits, 369 hits away. You think Robinson Cano could hit that, Grump?
That's 3 years. With how often he plays, that's probably 3 years. I mean, you're talking about if it's 2 years,
7 too.
He'd have to average what, like 150? No, I don't know what it is. He's gonna have to average 2 more. It's 370 hits away. So, yeah, 3 years. Does he have another 3 years in him? I don't know. Joey Votto's 1,000 away. Altuve's 1,200 away.
Yeah.
Freeman is 1,200 away, and he's 31 years old. It's tough. Mike Trout, how old is he? He's 1,600.
Mike Trout's in his 30s.
Now, if anyone has a shot, it's Juan Soto.
Okay, Juan Soto right now 500 career hits, so he's 25.
He's young. Vladimir Guerrero, too fat to wind up lasting long enough to have 3,000 hits.
Oh, come on. He's in good shape right now.
What's he weigh? He looks like Mekhi Becton.
Oh, get the hell out of here. And then Wander Franco, the young kid. So, you look at some of the old guys that are close to it. I'm like, Cano has no chance. And he's, I think, the closest current MLB player to 3,000 career hits. And you show up Joey Votto, I'm like, no freaking chance.
Okay.
I look at the list, and there's not many.
There's only been 33 players in the history of the game who've had 3,000 hits. It's not like, hey, everybody's getting it. No. Back in the 70s, you saw those stars. There was a just tremendous amount of talent in the 1970s. And you saw guys like Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Al Kaline. Those guys were all 3,000 hit guys, Roberto Clemente, and they were all playing at the same time. It's not like that nowadays. First of all, those guys would play 160 games a year. Today, oh man, he's an Iron Man. He plays 140 games a year. Well, that's a lot of hits that you're missing.
Drew says, no, Grump. Steven is portraying you guys as the lions of the cartel. There it is, Grump.
Why, thank you, Steven.
Thank you. And then Mario says, they beat the Canadians in the first round, and the Islanders won their first cup.
Yeah.
Grump laughing. Now, I do have a little bit. It's not necessarily a fan fight per se.
I do love fan fights, though. They're my favorites.
Oh, no. So it's not necessarily a fan fight, but it is an individual fan of a team who happens to have an interaction that is in a physical nature. Give me 1 second. I'll pull this up. It's a quickie, but it's funny because I want you to see how quick the reaction is. Give me a second. I don't want to miss any of it. So I just want you to watch the clip. Look at the lady. That's a guy.
Whoa.
I look at him. He's staring her down the entire time. So I'm like, he must have had odd feelings about this girl doing something like that. I mean, he didn't waste any time at all.
That's a lady who's tackling her.
Oh, it's a lady. Oh my gosh. Okay, never mind.
I don't understand what made her jump out of the seat. She's eyeballing her. I just like, man, she sprung into action. Bob, boom. Look at man. Whoa, power slam down.
So my good gracious.
What was going on? Like I said, this is where we need a little context.
I know. I wish they would have had context on the video. Of course they didn't.
Do you want to know why this is not a WNBA game?
Why is that? Because they're fans in the stands?
Because there are actually some fans in the stands.
How did I know? How did I know you're going to do
I don't understand. Maybe, I mean, she's a security guard. That's your type of security guard, by the way.
I was about to say security guard that takes action. I like that.
Maybe she was going to go glue herself to the center of the court. I don't know what the heck she was doing. Who's she going after?
I don't know. I don't know what she was. I don't know what the hell she was doing.
Maybe she was going towards the referee because look at the angle. She's not going after players. She's like, okay.
She wants to get on the court in some capacity.
Oh, there she goes.
I don't know. I really don't.
If she didn't get tripped up by 2 other women, she might have done whatever she wanted to do.
I don't know. Maybe she's got like an undershirt underneath, so maybe she wanted to show something of like she had something written on her shirt. I don't know, because it looks like she's in like a ref uniform underneath. Does it not? Does that not look like a ref uniform underneath?
I don't know, but it's like, what the hell?
Hold on a second. You get that weird pause. Give me a sec. You see how it's got that stripe to it?
Now,
that would almost indicate like she's a referee.
Okay, but she was a little bit high on the tackle. Not like the kid, not like that pitcher for that little Texas junior college team. Because, I mean, he really destroyed his guy when he hit him.
He was thrown off the team, Grump.
Well, that's undeserved, I'm telling you right
now. Come on. You can't tackle somebody because you give up a freaking home run.
It was such a form tackle. How do you kick him off?
Because you can't be harassing. You cannot be assaulting other people when they do and they get they score when they score.
I hear the next time those 2 teams play, he's going to be sitting in the stands going like this to the batter.
Hold on, I don't have you pulled up. Okay, gotcha. Oh man,
I got my eye on you. He's going to hop out of the stands and he won't be hitting no more home runs. He's scared.
Oh, God gracious! Now this is sent here by Alexander. We appreciate this one, so we'll get to watch this little fan fight.
We got Chiefs fans.
You and I are watching this for the first time. All I see is Chiefs fan fighting after divisional loss, violent with exclamation marks next to it. So I just hope it's not too violent. My good gracious! Give me 1 sec. Let me go ahead and hit
Mahomes is Patricia Mahomes.
Oh,
he's in the stand. Oh, he got cold cocked.
I was about to say he got
by by the white shirt in Mahomes.
Hold on. These are all Chief fans.
You want to go? You want to go?
Tony Gonzalez is over here too.
I love when they start going like this.
Oh my God. Holy shit. You missed it, Grump. Look at this. This guy, Captain Ballcap, he gets cold cocked from someone from the side. Look at this. Oh my God.
Hell?
Holy shit is right. My God. Oh my God. Holy shit. I don't understand. Oh my God.
Oh, he's out.
He's slumped. Oh. Man,
see,
that is a violent fight. Hold on. You're punching him, and he's okay. See, like he's concussed and he's unconscious, and you're still kicking.
Holy shit!
I do have issues when you're doing something like that. You should get thrown into the clink. Sorry,
well, I guarantee
you. If you've got to fight and you knock somebody out, right? That's where it stops. It's like when UFC, right? The guy comes in there and says, "Stop! It's not like they continue to let a guy like Jose Aldo continue to pound somebody in the ring as they're knocked out and unconscious. Oh,
yeah. Do you want to know what's going to happen? Those 15, white shirt 15 is going to be arrested. Ponytail boy is going to be arrested. They're all going.
Everybody's arrested. Even the people getting their asses kicked, they're going to be arrested. Every single one of these people who get into the fight are arrested. And that's usually, they should end like that. Everybody who gets into the fight should be arrested.
It's Kansas City. What do you expect? Animals.
My God. I tell you, look at this.
Your team sucks. You're never winning again.
I don't know why the hell they're fighting each other, but Jesus. This guy right here who gets knocked out wasn't even mixing it up originally. He wasn't on the front lines. He tries to throw a little punch at him, but I'm trying to see where Mr. Ponytail comes from because I don't see him down here in the mix.
No, he's cheap shotted from behind. That's kind of gutless.
I was about to say, so there, here it is, right? We're mixing up. I gotta see. And there's getting some beer thrown on him, whatever. This, Jesus Christ. This is the guy who just punches him right in the face, cold cocks him. My God. Oh,
that looks like who's Mahomes' brother? What's his name?
I don't even remember his name. Couldn't tell you. Oh, jeez, Jackson Mahomes.
That's it.
Oh my God. Oh, he's how many? He's not.
I mean, that guy's what? What's that guy like? 60?
Look! Hold on. Look how many. There's 4 security guards there.
Yeah,
get to work, security guards. I just saw one security guard, one lady security guard, one who wears her badge with honor and pride, take out the one assailant immediately. And I see 4 security guards, Tom, Dick, and Harry, holding their hands over here, not doing a damn thing, letting an unconscious man get beat. I need to see more what I saw at that NBA game by these security guards here. Bro.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what. Looking at the stands, I don't know when this was.
It's empty. The stands look empty.
Yeah, I mean,
This is after they lost. It's after the divisional loss. Everybody's a Kansas City Chief fan here. This is empty. I just look at him. I just see the sea of emptiness.
I mean, didn't that game end in the dark?
I don't even know. This must have been from a few years ago. Nobody's wearing masks either. So this must have been from a few years ago.
Well, no, it could have been this year. It's Missouri.
How do you say it, Grump?
Missouri.
So we see 4 security guards. This guy is literally on the bench, knocked out, and this guy this is the thing that pisses me off. As he's knocked unconscious, you continue to kick and punch him. That type of stuff is just
Yeah, see, that guy needs to be curb stomped, honestly. Somebody just should break his arms right there, snap his legs. Say, listen here, you piece of shit. You and that fucked up haircut. We're going to shave your head down there and we're going to feed it to you.
Oh, Jesus. I tell
He's
you.
a piece of shit. And let me tell you something.
That's the only thing. That's the only guy. I have no problem with the other people.
Beating up a guy who looks like he's in his mid-60s. That shit is just wrong.
Here's the thing. I don't care that it got into a fight. Obviously, you don't want fights to break out. But here's the thing. There's alcohol involved, as there always is at these events. I just see the alcohol lined up on these seats. But my God, you don't. So it's like you got to stop. You don't hit the guy who's knocked unconscious because that could really do a lot more damage, right? If you have to resort to fisticuffs, not suggesting you do. Once a guy's knocked out, that's where you stop. Come on. That was definitely a violent one. It was, as advertised, violent. That's for certain.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Guardian? They just got destroyed by the Yankees 10-0.
That's what happens when you change your name. Your team sucks.
Oh, that's what it is there. Paulo C says no. It's the Minnesota North Stars. They ended the Canadiens dynasty in 1980. Grumpy.
Gilles Meloche.
Gilles Meloche.
He was my first favorite goalie. I remember, I think I was like 8 years old or 9 years old. And for Christmas, I got they used to put out magazines every year, like an NHL preview. And they had in the color spread Gilles Meloche playing for the California Seals with those freaking white skates and the Kelly green and the gold. And I just loved them, just like I loved the Oakland A's back then. So I love Gilles Meloche. He wasn't great. He played, then the California Seals sucked out loud. But man, I tell you what, I love Gilles Meloche. He wound up going to, I think, when they moved to Cleveland, then they got disbanded, gave them the players to Washington, to Minnesota. It was a whole thing. But when I say that the Islanders ended their dynasty, it was the fact that the Islanders dynasty took over for the Canadiens. And when they were beating us, they were winning Stanley Cups. When we were beating them, we were winning Stanley Cups. That's what I meant.
What a film saying, holy shit, great clip, TJ. It's probably Alexander. Thank you, Alexander, there for that one. Maybe that was the first one. I have no idea what the hell was going on. Neither do I. Paul also said the Oilers eliminated the Canadiens in the first round of the 1981 playoffs. Minnesota ended their dynasty in the second round, 1980, which the Canadiens had won the 17 straight series. Stephen P. saying here, if you look closely, you can see Jackson Mahomes TikToking in the background. There it is. Tony Queso has solved the mystery. That was before the freaking game had started. Well, there you go. It wasn't after. I was like, well, man, okay. So that was before the game even had started.
I'm going to say those young guys probably were trying to steal somebody else's seats. They
Who
look
the
like
hell
crooks
knows?
to me, criminals.
Who the hell knows?
They both should be arrested.
Okay, everybody who's getting there, the person who was curb stomping a guy who was knocked unconscious, I want him to spend some time in a clink. And then Tony Kessa said, I love how he said, let's just hope this fight isn't too violent. Yeah, it was. What a film saying, maybe it was a protester or had something written on her shirt. Who the heck knows? Oh, yeah, at the game. Perhaps it was. I was about to say, I thought it looked like she had a ref shirt on underneath. Maybe she was going to make a mockery of the official or the referees, but didn't have the chance to.
Was that even? It wasn't even an NBA game, was it?
No, that was an NBA game. No, that was an NBA game with the Timberwolves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? She deserved to be taken out then.
That's kind of like being pregnant. Yeah, I tell you.
You said, I love to say how is this fight, hope it isn't too violent, is like saying you're just kind of pregnant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. Sometimes the fights are a little, okay, it's all right. Everybody gets up. They're good to go. That guy was sleeping. Right, he was put to sleep. He was knocked unconscious there for multiple times. We've seen fights before where, hey, someone gets a little bit unconscious and they get back up and I'm like, okay, calm down, relax, and everything ends. Those are the good ones. But Grumpy, yeah, that shit was scary though. Hopefully, no bad injuries were accrued there. But it didn't
I'm going to bet you one guy was certainly seriously injured.
It didn't look good for the guy who was knocked unconscious. No. That's for certain. But Grump, we are at the tail end of today's podcast. What do you want to say before we wrap things up today? Before our NHL or NFL draft coverage this Thursday, 7:30 or 7:15 or 7:45 Eastern Standard Time.
Make sure you're there for the NFL draft coverage. Love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't. From TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you. Oh shit! There's one thing I forgot to say, and I can't push this off until the next podcast because it'll be Thursday. So for those of you who I guess made it through that little bit, you were the smart ones. So one more item I had to talk about: University of Oklahoma is now, and Coach Barry Switzer has started up a nonprofit organization that is going to have a name, image, and likeness collective. So what's going to happen is every member of the Oklahoma football team, men's basketball team, and softball players are going to be earning a salary of between $40,000 and $50,000 a year to be a part of the team. They just made note of that, and that will start here this upcoming season.
Do you remember, TJ, what I said years ago, that you should give athletes money to go to school, and they can choose to pocket it, or they can choose to go to class? And now you're seeing that actually played out in lifetime. And do you think that they're going to give how much money do you think they're going to give softball players? Do you think they're going to give them that much money?
It was promised there between 40 and 50. So players are going to make anywhere between 40 and 50 depending on the player. But I mean, think about this. As a softball player, I just got a name, image, and likeness deal guaranteeing me $40,000 at least a year on top of my free college scholarship.
Just to show up. Why did they do that? Why did they do it? Look at how many players they lost when Lincoln Riley left. I mean, Lincoln Riley was the reason to go to Oklahoma.
And now Barry Switzer says, well, don't you worry. They've got a strong alumni and fan base there. They're able to pool money together, and they're able to say, here we go. I can promise you guaranteed money of $40,000 to $50,000 for every single person that commits. And right, if you're playing well, you're going to have the opportunity to make just what they do at the Alabamas and the Notre Dame because we've got a strong fan base, etc.
So
here it is.
The NC went from 1 year where you're just fired. You're going to lose scholarships. You're going to get the death penalty for paying players, where now we're going to pay every player who goes to school here. Okay. That's how it works. Thanks.
Can't make the normal students very happy.
You can't even make this up.
I was about to say, I told you, it's the freaking Wild West, and it's only going to get worse before it's going to get better. Do you remember those freaking people who tried to say the reason name, image, and likeness is going to be here is because it's going to help actually spread equity amongst college athletics? Because now everybody, what it's going to do is it's going to make the difference between the haves and the have-nots even more extreme. That's all it was going to do. I have no problem with players getting paid for playing, but there has to be some sort of rulings on this going forward, because what's going to stop a team that maybe has a huge fan base from saying, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to offer every single football. We're only going to work on football because I only like that sport. We're not going to focus on men's basketball, any other sports. It's just going to be men's football. What we're going to do is we're going to pay every single player who commits $150,000 every single year they're here, and anything else they earn is more on that. So I can get paid more to go to Ohio State than any other university is offering to guarantee me money. And also, if I'm playing well, I'm going to get additional name, image, and likeness money. Just comes to who's going to pay the most. It's now, there needs to be some sort of, the college football and NCAA is going to have to do something. I'm not sure what they're going to do, because they should have been paying players to a certain extent beforehand, but there's going to have to be some sort of restrictions put on this.
One thing they were smart, they included a women's sport, so no one can say, oh,
census or whatever.
But it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't.
The softball team is unbelievable. The Oklahoma women's softball team had that undefeated streak of like 47 games. They're really, really good in softball. So they picked the sport that they wanted to have there. Terrific. But what you're going to see is these collective groups now, like with Urban Meyer at Ohio State. what's going to stop him from just saying, okay, the really good recruits, we're just going to pay them whatever we want. Now we can offer them more money. We're going to do it where it's not, where people aren't seeing what we're offering them. But hey, now I have more freedom and leeway. And, that Urban Meyer's lining his pockets as he goes along the way, too. So, hey, it just comes down to college sports will still remain the same. The best teams with the largest fan base and backing that had, the great fan atmosphere. Not only now can they offer the great fan atmosphere and a good education, now they can offer them the money. So what's the point to go to a school that doesn't offer you money and doesn't offer the great fan base? Not many.
Yeah, it's the Wild West. Now the college kids are getting paid. That's it.
Well, they should get paid, but there needs to be some. And I told you, the NCAA wants it to get much worse than it is now. They want it to get worse because they want to have these teams and the majority of college teams saying, we need help. We need some sort of regulatory authority like the NCAAs. We need to give you more power because they just let everything run wild. I heard that Notre Dame AD said by 2030, they don't expect the college atmosphere to look the way it is now. They expect there to be complete drastic changes as to how it looks in the layout of these items.
I wouldn't even
headed.
To me, I wouldn't even give them scholarships to go to school. Just make them like minor league teams. That's the way you're going to see, where they don't have to go to school because it's unnecessary, and they're going to be just like little, Notre Dame football club, Oklahoma football club, and they'll play there for a couple of years and go pro, because most of them, not all, could care less. I'm talking about the big schools.
You're Alabama's, right? I don't think a lot of them say, "Oh, I really after I graduate or after I leave as my junior season, I really need to go back and finish up my college education." There's not many people who do that.
I still think that my policy of giving them whatever it is for the year of education, you can spend the money anyway. You can go to school or you can pocket the money. It's up to you. But this way, they don't have to worry about graduation rates or anything like that. They choose what to do with the money. That's to me, that's the way you don't have those violations. Well, he took this class and he took this class. No, I'm just here to play football. I'm not here to go to class. And if
it loses a little bit of the ties to the, you know what I mean? It loses the ties to the how do alumni feel if they say, okay, the guy who wears our colors and supports, our college doesn't even go to our school.
They want to win. They just want to win. All they want is their team to be national champions. All they care about. You think they care if, Johnny Quarterback goes to class? They could care less. How do you perform on Saturday afternoon? That's all they care about.
Rob G saying, what's up, fellas? Sorry about your Islanders. Maybe if you start talking nice about them, they'll win for you. Well, Rob, I'm going to talk bad about them for the next week because I want to get a better draft pick. I want to drop below Columbus to get one extra better slot. But it happens, Rob. We're not, the Islanders kind of was destined that way. Frank saying, hit the thumbs up, boys, and help them out. Great job as usual, Grumpy Old Man and TJ. Thanks, Frank. We do appreciate it. Grumpy, we're at the end of the show today. I know we had said it, but I know you want to say that one last thing you always say.
Make sure you watch the NFL Draft Spectacular on Thursday evening, 7:45. And love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't, from TJ and a Grumpy Old Man.
I thought you were doing a Lou Holtz impression there, Grumpy. Giving you a hard time, of course. But thank you, Grump. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be with you 7:45 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday for the NFL Draft. Until then, have a great week. We'll see you draft day.